So, Street Talk this week. I'm not going to lie, I didn't find Coronation Street that interesting, and I'm sorry to start off this section by giving my opinion straight away. I'm still going to make the best out of we can for our chat, but yeah, I found this week just a little bit of a slog. It just didn't get me going. It didn't get me that enthused about the drama that was going on. Am I alone in this? How did you find it?
It's hard to have your juices flowing when they're all just dried up.
My juices are evaporated this week, it's true.
Listen, this is one of those weeks where things happened. Really big things, right?
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh.
The big things happened, but I think I was talking to you about it the other day and saying that I think it's just a case of the characters that they happened to. I'm not invested enough to really
Lauren.
care.
Everyone's like, I hate Lauren. I don't like her.
Are people still saying that?
You're saying it to me, and I've seen people online talking about her. I don't think anyone would say that she's their favourite character, but I really like her. I like a moody cow.
She grates on me.
I think the reason why...
And I think that Kate's doing a great job because we've seen her in real life and she is certainly very smiley and effervescent for real. But yeah, just whenever Lauren walks in and Joel walks in and Lauren's there with a face on her, it doesn't put me in a particularly amenable state.
It doesn't bother me
her.
because she's got a reason to be moody, hasn't she?
Well, don't we all? But sometimes we just have to put a lid on that screen.
Oh, you think you've got a similar life situation?
Yeah, exactly.
I was nearly killed, bludgeoned half to death. I had to run away to Leicester.
She should be happy about that she's got another chance in life. You know, she had a miraculous escape from death. She should be full of the joys of spring and skipping down the road every day, saying how wonderful being alive is.
You can't skip when you're pregnant because the baby comes out your mouth.
Well, it certainly came out.
What they told us.
Came out by the end of this week.
Told us this in sex education.
I'm going to do that storyline second. We're going to start off with the Webster story, and yeah, I obviously really love Abby as a character. I don't have anything particularly against Kevin, as much of a grump as he is.
Saying this is boring.
I've seen people saying this is boring, and I find it a little. I'm not completely sure yet what it is. Maybe as we talk about it, it'll come to light.
It's just.
It feels like it's been going on for a while. It feels like it's dragging. And like when it was almost over, now it's been kicked off into another gear. And I'm like, oh, it's just not doing it for me. And I think the fact that there's Jack involved, who we've seen so little of over the past few years, I've got no real investment in him. And that's for Stefan. Well, we haven't even seen him all week since he's been supposedly, at death's door himself. We just heard about this fire that went on at his place of work, but we didn't get to see any of it. And I don't know. There was a whodunit. We'll talk about it as we get there. But yeah, it's not. What?
Tell everybody your amazing discovery.
I didn't discover this. I knew this already, but the German translation for Stefan Brent is Stefan Burns. So I was almost going to go for that for a storyline title. I still could, to be honest. I just got hell bent on Stefan Brent still, which we used a few weeks ago. But just calling it Stefan Brent with a double N could do the job if you're a German speaker.
Or if you change one letter, his name's Stefan Burnt.
Yeah, exactly. Brent Burnt. So close. So next up, we got the Lauren story. Of course, it seems like her dreams of heading over to Ireland are gone. So I'm calling this week's storyline Dublin Over in Pain. Which was what Lauren was doing on Friday as she was giving birth to a bit of an early baby.
Believe that he went through with his plan to induce pee.
He's done it. P is out, yeah. Beth Gets Shirty is what I thought we could call the counterfeiting storyline. She is a bit of a... I know, she has a bit of a shirty mare as it is. And that she's with another character, Betsy, who I really, really want to like.
I know.
But at the moment, it just feels like she's a bit of a sour face as well.
Betsy's arrogant. Isn't she?
She feels like a bit too big for her boots for a character that's only just come into it. You know, what's Betsy done since she's arrived? She's blackmailed Joel, she's blackmailed Carla, she's blackmailed, I can't remember who else. Now she's doing this other dodgy... It's all very well and good having a character who is a bit morally dubious, but I haven't seen enough to get me to like her. More, I mean, why not more Betsy and Sabrina scenes? You know, just kind of downtime girl scenes. But oh no, you can only have Sabrina once every 6 months, and she's had her chance already for the second half of 2024. But yeah, that story, I'm kind of enjoying it, but it's feeling a little bit of a summer filler storyline, you know?
I'd rather have them stitching up counterfeit T-shirts than Ardy wrapping himself around Courtney again.
Well, I don't know. But anyway, this feels like they might be stitching up Carla this week as well, now that she's possibly going to get in trouble over her dodgy wares coming from her factory. They think it's Paul over. We're going to relegate to fourth story this week. It was in it every day this week. It was more of a kind of carrying on business as normal following the come down from last Friday's fantastic episode, which was, you know, nice enough. We have then got possible return on the horizon, Gemma. It's Alina's grandma. That's right, everybody. Alina's grandma could well be winging her way back to Conversation Street in the coming weeks.
I can't even remember what she sounded like or how to do her.
We need to find some old episodes. Just, you know, you got maybe... when's the trial supposed to be? Next week?
I don't know if I'm allowed to do it.
It could be a week's time, Gemma, that you need to summon Alina's grandma from the very depths of your soul where she's currently residing.
It's not... You can't make fun of people.
You've got to give the listeners what they want, and if Alina's grandma doesn't make an appearance on next week's Conversation Street, we're going to have some very unhappy little ducklings.
Yeah, I know, they'll be really mad at me.
They'll go quackers, Joe. And finally...
You're doing it.
I'm not buying
You're doing it. You're joining in.
No. Then we have got just a little bit more of the Lee Institute story coming in last this week. But they had a little bit of a break from that on Wednesday and Friday. So I think that I will start off with a Hellbent on Stefan Brent story. And so it kind of... it starts off with Kevin learning that Jack knew about Abby's deep fake videos. Hope told him, apparently, and Kevin can't believe that Jack knows about it, so they get him in from his room, and Jack's mad that there's just kind of a mishmash of everybody finding out and everyone finding out that everyone else was finding out at the beginning of this week. And they reassure him that they're not real videos that all his mates have been watching, and that Stefan posted them, so he's caught up with everything that's been going on this past few months. So Stefan then rings Kevin, and he wants to meet up and put an end to all this.
Can I just say one thing about this? Is that maybe I'm being unfair here, but it feels like all of the emotional side of this has kind of been sidelined for like the practical, what are we going to do about it stuff, because I know Abby was upset about it and Kevin was mad about it and stuff, but I feel like they've all moved on really fast. And like, if you're Jack, like he's just a bit mad. Like, what does he really think about it? This is devastating. A teenage boy being humiliated by this kind of stuff, because that's how he would feel about it. There's a lot more to tap here when you're talking about people's emotions and how they react with each other. He seems fine. Okay, well, it wasn't real then. Like, I don't think this would be as simple as how, it's just turned into a story about arson. And yet again, Coronation Street is taking these really complicated, modern kind of, not been done, well, it's been done in Coronation Street before too many times, revenge porn and stuff, but they're taking really interesting, fairly unique stories and just turning them into something else, and not really giving it any space. Do you know what I'm saying? Can you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, really, this could have been a week where we see Jack kind of completely crumble and become bitter and insulate. There are loads of stuff about incels and boys becoming radicalised by stuff online, becoming women haters, and that's something that they could have explored. But no, he just goes and sets fire to something, and now it's
Jack
an
is
arson story.
at first taught later kind of guy. Apparently, we've learned about.
But you know what I
week.
mean? Everyone's moving really fast in this storyline, and it's another example of using a story and then turning it into something generic. Like, oh, we have deep fake porn story, but actually no, it's a story about blackmail and arson. We've had blackmail and arson in Coronation Street for 60 years. We don't need. Do you get what I'm saying?
But I was also getting a bit.
Argue. This is why everyone's saying, I'm finding this a bit boring and a bit dull. Maybe that's part of the reason why, because it feels really predictable and there's no emotional hooks.
I think you're right about the no emotional hooks, or the few emotional hooks here. I think that the most boring, predictable thing that's come out of this story this week is yet more police interrogation scenes, and it feels like that, you know, not a week can go by at the moment without somebody being dragged into the police station to be questioned by Swain. And maybe this is just a symptom of Vicky Myers getting that regular contract, that everybody's got to get arrested at one point or another, and it just loses the impact. Back in the day when someone got arrested, it was a big deal. Again, we're just watching on the ITV3 repeats at the moment, Angela Harris being called in by the police because she's suspected of doing away with Tommy, and that felt huge. And now it's just like, oh yeah, you know, whatever, off to the police station. Nobody seems particularly bothered or ashamed.
Worried, anxious.
No, not really. And like, as a viewer, I'm definitely not, because I just think, they'll be all right.
It's almost like Coronation Street is trying to make us all feel like with the cancer storyline, I can see it, like, we'll be there for you. You know, 1 in 2 people get cancer in their lifetimes, so let's all talk about it, and, you know, maybe people won't be scared because they won't feel so alone. You don't need to do that for being arrested. 1 in 2 people don't get arrested in their lifetime.
You wouldn't believe that if you looked at Coronation Street.
No, it's not 1 in 2, it's everybody. The other thing also is, like, Coronation Street saying, we've hired Vicky Myers as a regular character, and everyone says, hooray! And then they say, but now everyone's going to get arrested at least once. Oh no!
Yeah, I kind of was more hoping that when Swain was promoted to a regular, that we'd see more of her as a person. I mean, how much have we seen between Swain and Betsy since Betsy's been on the show, which has been, what, a month and a half or so? Barely anything. We know nothing about their relationship, really, as a mum and daughter. Nothing about their home life. They haven't got a set for their home, well, not that we've seen yet. They're working in completely different stories, and because there's so little intermingling between characters, you know, if you're not in the story with this person, then you're never going to see eye to eye. It's just odd that we've got this mother-daughter pair that a casual viewer would have no idea tuning in that this cop and this t-shirt counterfeiter are anything to do with each other.
And obviously the sort of the joke or the twist is that she's a cop and she's a crim. But the way they're going... What?
Beth still doesn't know that Betsy is related to Lisa. Does she know?
But the way things are going at the moment, I really can't feel as though we're going to get any great, amazing oomph out of the reveal to Swain that Betsy's up to no good. Because I don't know enough about them as mother and daughter. So what? It's like watching someone out the bill being revealed as a shoplifter. I've only met this person... 50 minutes ago. I don't care.
Yeah. When it does get revealed, because it was, will we get nothing more than the generic? Oh, how could you?
You know, the really unfortunate thing is that they could have just not told us that she was Swain's daughter. Betsy could have got a job working at the factory as work experience, because that actually happens without being finagled and blackmailed by a cop. And then it would, when the police come to eventually arrest Betsy for whatever it is she gets caught for, blackmail or counterfeiting or whatever it is, and Swain turns up and she goes, oh my god, Betsy, what are you doing here?
Yeah, I wonder how long they could have strung it out of not telling us who she was.
Yeah, because we saw
her for a little bit.
We saw them meet each other at the playground, and she was mad at Betsy because Betsy had money to buy a bacon sandwich or something. The emotional stakes there are slightly different to finding out your kids have been on the rob.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that there's still going to be time to develop these two as a family unit, but at the moment, I'm really not feeling it.
It doesn't feel worth making them related at the moment. I know they're going to do something with it. I just feel like they're beating around the bush a bit much.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the fact that she's working for Carla, and then there's all this hint of a frisson of something or other between Swain and Carla. Yeah, it's taken a bit of a while to get there so far. Anyway, this is nothing to do with what Abby and Kevin and Jack are doing.
What are Jack and Abby and Kevin doing, Michael?
Well, Jack is being an utter dolt and letting a stranger come into his house. Not only that, but letting him alone there while he pops next door to the shop to get some milk.
Michael, you can't blame this poor child. He's been raised in an idyllic environment where crime never happens and everyone is to be trusted at all times.
I mean, isn't...
How old is this kid?
That is the question, isn't it? I think he's 14 at the moment.
Right.
And I don't mean 14 foot tall, just 14 years old.
Bless him.
I think he's turning 15 next month, maybe. He should know better. Especially, he knows there's dodgy people around. Remember the day when he had to hide under his bed when we had that home invader? Who was that? Was that Dane or something? I can't remember. That was the time that Kevin did his face plant. That's the most memorable bit of that episode. Great. But yeah, Jack should know this at this point, but he doesn't. And Stefan comes in and says, "Oh, I want to make a cup of tea, but we haven't got any milk. So can you go next door and get some?" So Jack pops off, and Stefan is obviously a fantastic seeker because in that 30 seconds that he's away, he manages to find where Kevin's put his phone.
The phone.
Well, do you think Kevin's a bit of a fool if he keeps it charged up overnight, isn't he? Unless he's got an exceptionally good battery.
Well, it looked like an old phone, so...
Yes, this is true. They last those Nokia 3210s. We only had to charge them up once a week back in the day, didn't we? Do you remember?
Well, listen, I just think this can't be on Jack. I think that Kevin needs to revisit Stranger Danger.
Yeah.
The thing is...
Can't blame the kid. He might be past the criminal age of responsibility, but...
They always say, like, it's... they teach kids stranger dangers, but normally it's someone that's actually more dangerous. Like, well, not on Corrie. It could be anyone.
Yeah. Jack does not know what Stefan Brandt looks like, apparently. So anyway...
but he's the hottest publisher in Weatherfield. Doesn't he read higher?
You're the hottest publisher in Southampton, Gemma. Not everybody knows you. Right, anyway, Jack... what happens now? Kevin and Abby come back and realise, and Jack tells them what's happened.
A man came and he didn't even drink any tea in the end.
They immediately realise that it must be Stefan. So Kevin rushes up to see if the burner phone's in the cupboard or drawers or wherever he's in there. No, blast! What a cunning criminal mind that Stefan Brandt has.
He must publish a crime mag as well.
So Jack's like, what's so special about this phone? So they said, look, this was probably, because I don't think we've still confirmed this.
They haven't got onto it, have they? Because they don't know the code.
It's probably,
they can't get into it.
Maybe it's just got some really sentimental pictures of Granny Brent on that Stefan sort of misses.
Maybe he just wanted to do Wordle.
Yeah, maybe. He's probably... I've missed my daily streak now.
For God's sake. I was doing Duolingo on that.
Apparently, it's got evidence that proves that he is a big, deep faker, and Jack's really sorry about what happened.
I just find it hilarious to imagine that you can deep fake porn on a mobile phone so well that nobody knows it isn't real. I'm sure you can. I just think it's really funny to imagine.
I just find it...
Or either that or the evidence is that it's only stored on this phone.
I don't know anything about making that kind of thing.
Good.
But
I believe you.
Is it not the sort of thing that people would more likely use a PC to make? Can you make really good ones on a phone?
That's what I mean.
So, I suppose the evidence is burned in the fire later on that week, isn't it?
We'll never know. Coronation Street needs to step up their game and show us this video.
So anyway, Abby goes over to Stefan's office to have another go at him. This is the other thing with this story. Sorry if we just sound like we're moaning. I hope we don't mind too much this week. But there's an awful lot of just Abby turning up at Stefan's office, isn't there? And then Kevin turns up at Stefan's office, and then Stefan turns up at number 13.
What? They've missed a trick for getting a sassy American what's it called? Receptionist going, Mr. Brown, I told them they couldn't come, but they wouldn't. They just barged straight through. That's okay. I'll cancel all my meetings for this afternoon.
They had one of those at the TV studios, didn't they? When Abby went and had a moan at the guy.
But why are they just? This is what I don't understand. Why are they letting her in? Why doesn't Stefan Brandt go, listen, for God's sake, I am the boss of this whole company. If this lunatic comes in, she's a crackhead, don't let her in anymore. Why do you keep letting her in to shout at me? Whenever you let her into my office, what do you hear? She's shouting at me, right? Don't let her in. Just tell her I'm busy. Just imagine the receptionist, like Abby comes marching in, like face like thunder, fists balled up, and they're like, "Yeah, go through. He's not doing anything."
Print media's dead. It's all right. He's just sitting with his feet up,
I
playing
could
with his
be
Newton's
making
cradle.
porn in here. You don't know. I want some privacy.
Oh well, this is Abby's MO this year, isn't it? Just marching in places and
Striding
thinking
about.
that she gets what she
Love
wants.
her.
So
Love her for that.
anyway, he very smugly tells her that the burner phone is now sinking towards the bottom of the River Irwell. It's over. No more evidence left. What are you going to do about it?
Oh no, I can't believe it.
Back on the street.
Why didn't they just lie and say we backed it up?
I'm sure he's going to have some evidence somewhere else. If he did it, and they're still not 100% convinced, wow. I think are we supposed to be at this point? I think we probably are. I'm sure he's going to get caught out at some point. There's going to... I don't know.
But why hasn't he... Okay, carry on.
Anyway, Craig and a colleague turn up in their cop car outside the garage and they arrest Kevin on suspicion of burglary because now he doesn't have the evidence against Stefan. He's got a carte blanche to say, oh yes, Kevin did break into my office to steal my phone that one time. And
what was on the phone?
I did. Never you mind. Pictures of my granny. But just, I don't think he's also mentioned about when Kevin punched him, so maybe he's leaving that one in the bag until later, I don't know. So Kevin gets carted off into the cop shop, leaving Abby on her own at number 13. Jack's mad about everything that's happened. So Craig
hasn't had a lot of time to absorb any of this. That's all I'm saying.
Craig sits down to Kev to interview him, and he says, yeah, the video of you breaking into Stefan's office has been handed in.
I'll tell you
and
what.
This is the evidence. This is the video. Is this the one that Kevin says at this point is deep faked, or had he said before it was deep faked? I can't remember.
This reminds me, and this has been bugging me, and I knew that it was reminding me of something, and I've only just put the two pieces together, so forgive me if this was obvious to anybody else, but Craig is like Dewey in Scream 1, where nobody takes him seriously because he's like the brother of some of the kids, and he's trying to be a police officer and telling everybody what to do, and they're like, oh no, we're not paying attention to you, Dewey. So that's what Craig is.
That is what Craig is, yeah. So Kevin goes back home again later. He's going to plead guilty to this burglary. He did do it after all, and he's got his plea hearing next week. So look forward for that, everybody. And they say, look, it's not your fault. No, sorry, they say that to Jack. Because
they say the police like, look, it's not your fault.
No, Jack says this is all my fault, and they say, no, Jack says it's not your fault. You've barely been in it for the last 5 years. And Abby
You've just
says,
been playing your Xbox.
Look, I need to go out for a bit. So this is what sets up for the little bit of the mystery whodunit when Abby disappears out for the evening, gets back after dark and finds Kevin having a bit of a scroll on his phone. It looks like Stefan's office is on fire.
Oh my goodness me.
I know.
Who did that then?
Well,
I tell you what, it was quite hot on Monday. Things were bursting into flames spontaneously.
With our 30-degree heat. Even
30 degrees is too high.
So Abby says, well, he's clearly got what he deserved then, hadn't he? Now, at this point in the week, did you have any theories about who you thought it was?
Well, it was obviously Abby, Kevin, or Jack. I don't think I really thought it was Jack, but I'm going to be brutally honest here and say I didn't really think to care about who it was. And sometimes I get really invested in the smallest, stupid mysteries, and sometimes big things wash over me and I don't care.
I think I was the
sadly,
same.
The same thing happened here because I was like, yeah, whatever. We didn't even see the fire.
I think if we had seen the fire, if we'd have cut to like a nighttime scene with Stefan in his office doing his Sudoku, and then we saw a firebomb be put through the letterbox or something like that, I might have felt a little bit more invested in it, and we'd maybe seen a shadowy figure through the door.
Fire's one of my weaknesses. It's a paper factory.
I'm a grass type. I think maybe I'd have cared more, but I really didn't.
I mean, it's the publisher's worst nightmare, isn't it, fire?
It is, yeah. I wondered whether it would just turn out that it was nobody or just a random act of arson.
Secretly smoking.
I also didn't think that it was Jack straight away, although I went online afterwards and I saw a lot of people saying, well, clearly it was Jack.
I thought it was Kevin. But then I didn't really...
Yeah, it couldn't have been Kevin because he was the one that seemed surprised to be reading about it on his
come
phone
on.
later. Oh, Abby says here that it's on fire.
I know that
Never mind, Dave, make me tea.
The thing that about Kevin is that he wouldn't be good at lying.
No.
But that doesn't mean that Coronation Street wouldn't bend that to make him so that he was good at lying for like 5 minutes when it was convenient for the plot.
So Kevin's obsessed with this fire because first thing on Wednesday morning, he's still reading about it over
And you
breakfast
know what the funny
online.
thing about it is? Like, we all know, God bless local journalism, it does not get the funding or the attention that it deserves, and it should do. But you know he's reading about this fire, right? The only place that's probably talking about it is Weatherfield Recorder, right, or Reporter, or whatever it is, Gazette. And you know that it's only an online article, and you know it's probably full of people in the comments going, well, I think it was probably immigrants. I think it was immigrants. Oh no, I think it was the far right. They were trying to frame somebody. Well, you know what? Hire magazine costs too much money these days anyway. Who reads magazines? I don't. You know, that was full of just people spewing absolute idiocy.
Well, there was no room from the actual papers for talking about the fire because it was all
Free
about...
coffee.
No, well, there was a free coffee, you're right. It was all about Alina coming back.
Yeah.
And the horrible traffickers. Right, so anyway...
So I'm just saying, what information could he possibly have found on the internet about this? Because I've tried to find information about local stories that I found interesting, and it's always just absolute nonsense and a bunch of racists and weirdos having arguments with each other in the comment section. But you know what? I'm going to admit something else. I love it. I love reading all that.
Kevin is a bit of an arse to Abby at this point by
always an
saying,
arse.
"You did this, didn't you, Abby?
slightest
This has got
bad
you
thing
right all
happens."
over it."
Yep, slightest setback, and Kevin, he's channeling the spirit of Martin Platt.
Yeah, he's
dangerous.
This is time and time and time
he always just has
again.
to go at her.
We've seen Kevin
What does she
not
say to
trust
him?
Abby. I don't.
She doesn't need him for a roof over her head anymore.
At the beginning, when they first got together, I was thinking, maybe. I do like Abby. Kevin's a legacy character. They could work well together. But really, apart from a few little romantic moments like the wedding, I'm just
nothing.
not buying their relationship. He
There's
really
nothing there.
just feel like a cranky old man, and she's still full of youth and life and vigour. And I know there's not a huge age gap between them, but there is a bit of one. She just feels
Genuinely.
like she's dragged down by him.
Right, here's a test. Here's a test to everybody who's listening. Recruit a new watcher for Coronation Street. Watch Coronation Street with them every episode. At the beginning, tell them Kevin and Abby are brother and sister. See how long it takes them to work out that's not true.
Brilliant.
I bet you it would be a long time.
Just an extra bonus, tell them that Kevin and Debbie are married.
Yeah.
How long they realise.
I tell you what, there's a bit more of a spark there.
Yeah, that was a
But there's
high
a spark
point.
with Debbie when anybody...
There is. This was another high point this week, having Debbie involved. She wasn't quite at her peak like she was last week, but still got ample amount of Debbie Webster,
Genuinely,
which is always a good thing.
This should be the test going on forwards with Coronation Street couples. Can you tell, if you were a new viewer, would you better tell brother and sister or going out with each other? Because honestly, sometimes the way George and Glenda talk to each other more like they're married.
Or are they just mates? That's the third option. That's
No, that
that's
doesn't
the
happen
wild
on
card
Coronation
that very
Street.
rarely
Yeah.
happens in Coronation
Oh,
Street.
it's
We
a
have Max
shiny.
and Lauren this week.
It's shiny, they're friends.
Anyway, so Kevin brings up the fact that a couple of years back she set Ray Crosby's car on fire, and that
She's
was
like, I did it for the GIF.
if we were doing for our
The memes
Patreon.
were impeccable.
For our Patreon this week, we did a top 5 Gale moments, didn't we? And if we were doing a top 5 Abby moments, the time when she walks away
Yeah.
from Ray's exploding car,
And
that's
she-
going to be up there for
And she
sure.
does it. She doesn't act cool and pretend she didn't see it. She goes,
That is awesome. But she says, no, I'm not like that
I
anymore.
didn't do it.
Besides, why would I do that? Because I'd just be putting myself in the frame because the police would clearly come looking for me and they'd probably think it's me right now as well, actually. And she's not wrong because later on at work, the police do turn up, Swain this time, and Abby says, look, we haven't done it. Suppose you want us to come down the police station, don't you? Then Swain's like, yeah, look, Brent was in the building when it was up in flames. He could have been killed. You need to come down the station for a voluntary interview, in inverted
well, I'll
commas.
arrest you.
So, meanwhile, Abby tells Swain, well, it's a bit later, sorry, Abby tells Swain and the silent partner that's there again, that, yeah, I do have a motive. Yeah, clearly it makes sense that it's me.
Interesting
but
tactic.
it wasn't. No, I think
Let's see how it works out.
I think laying your cards out on the table and say, I completely understand why you think it was me, but I'm not. I think I might go down that one myself if I was ever in that position.
Please don't, Michael. No, the police are not your friends when they're interviewing you. They're not there to clear things up. They're there to pin it on you so they can do loads of paperwork. Sorry, police. That's a joke. But seriously, don't talk to them unless you have to.
I think I'd be like Roy, though, just convinced that my own innocence would see me through it.
I'm going to have to get you some true crime podcast to listen to.
It doesn't always work out like that, does it? Anyway, so Abby's, look, I went out, I did have a drive around just to clear my head, and then I went home. Nothing else.
No, she went to the petrol station.
Oh, yeah, she did. She went to the petrol station, but what she also did, which she didn't admit to, which was a bit of a bad move, was going to Stefan's place and getting photographed on his doorbell camera.
Which I loved because that looked like the front cover of like a really moody emo album.
Yeah.
Didn't it? Like just her with a hoodie on, with it pulled down over her eyes, like mooching around outside. Like
she'd definitely have a parental
advisory.
Advisory sticker on the front of her album. Yeah, so she's there. I think that was a bit of a stupid move, not saying it. If she was laying all her cards out on the table, which she clearly was, I think it probably would have been wise for her to have said absolutely everything.
Also, no one can be caught unawares by a doorbell camera. This is 2024. We all know what they are. They're not hidden. It's not a secret. Would you like to tell everybody about our doorbell camera?
Well, yes. Yesterday we had an Ocado man came round because we're posh like that, and he rang the doorbell with his nose. And I've got a video of him headbutting our doorbell.
But he had a load of bags and it was really hot, and so he didn't want to put it down, so he just rang it with his nose.
Yeah, carrier bags in each hand, so we rang it with his nose, and it didn't work the first time, so we did it again.
He was like pecking like a woodpecker, trying to get his nose on the doorbell. Anyway, I'm good with the flash sales on Ocado. I've got 10 packs of turkey mince. £2.20 each. Do better than that. God,
good times are here. We're going to be eating like kings.
1 kilogram of chicken thigh fillets for £2.87.
Amazing.
Thank you very much. It's about time you appreciated my contributions to this house.
So anyway, Abby's like, yeah, I did it. I don't have any sympathy for him if you're trying to get me to say, well, oh dear, poor guy, he could have been burnt to death. But I did think about putting his windows in, but that's it. So she gets let off with her feeling a bit, got away from it with that one. Kevin is not happy, again, with Abby when she gets back home because she kept something from the police. And he says, look, you're the lowlife that Stefan's been saying you are for years. He still clearly thinks that she started the fire here. How many times that Kevin has accused Abby of doing something has she actually done it? Hasn't she got a bit of a reputation now?
Number one,
learned his lesson? Why
is she not sick and tired of this man? Number two, what gives him the confidence to be so mean and rude to a woman who looks like Abby and is younger than he by quite a measure and does all of his housework, seemingly, and his cooking?
All his pant washing.
What gives him the audacity to continually question her like he's got like a queue of women around the block, just waiting to be the next Mrs. Webster? You must be bloody joking me.
It does make me wonder, like, how long can Abby stick this? Because sometimes they have couples split up on a whim. But this, I think, she's earned the right to flounce off and slam the door and say, tell you what, Kev, I'm over. I suppose, though, she's the sort that wants a family. She's had such an unstable life, and maybe she thinks, this is the best I'm gonna get.
Well, she also probably has this kind of complex where she thinks, I've done so many bad things. This isn't anything compared to what I've done.
Penance.
Yeah, well,
she does love Jack. I'll give that to her.
Well, and that never stopped any of the other people on Coronation Street from dumping their partners like a sack of hot sick.
This is true. And also, I suppose that does Kevin love Alfie? Probably. We've seen a bit of Alfie this week, haven't we? Poor old Imran.
I question.
If I was, Imran's probably turning in his grave at the moment, thinking about Kevin looking after him. But anyway. We get to have a little bit of a clue later about the identity of the arsonist, because Jack had told Abby and Kevin, I think earlier on in the episode, that he was out of the pictures with Hope last night. But then in the garage later, watching Deadpool versus Wolverine, of course.
It's the hottest film out.
Yeah, There's summer holidays now, so they're showing
wouldn't-
probably cheap price for the kids during the day.
They wouldn't get it. It's not for them.
They wouldn't get all the
people my
references.
age, yeah.
So Tyrone tells Abby at the garage that he, Ruby and Hope went to the cinema last night. Oh no, that's right. Jack had told Abby and Kevin that he was playing video games with Hope, didn't he? So she seems a bit surprised that there's a bit of disparity between the two accounts here. So she goes home, finds Jack peeling potatoes. He's still spinning the yarn that he was with Hope and some others last night.
She goes home with Jack spinning potatoes because Kevin's like, listen here, Jack. Don't know how long I'm going to keep Abby around. She's all right, wronging. It's about time you learned how to clean my pants and peel my potatoes.
Yeah.
Get out the peeler. You're making dinner.
Yeah.
You've got to be self-sufficient, lad.
Yeah, for most guys, it's the rites of passages like teaching your son to shave for the first time, although Jack's probably been doing that for 5 years at this point. But with Kevin, it's like pant washing and tea making. The only lessons that you need to learn, my son.
Exactly.
So she says, look, tell me what you, Jack. Someone set fire to Stefan Brent's car and it spread to the building yesterday. And Jack, bless him, crumbles immediately. He's a good lad, really, isn't he?
I love it when people do this on Coronation Street, where they just immediately spill the beans.
I did it.
I find it really endearing.
Yeah. So Kevin comes back mid-confession and Abby sends Jack
You haven't peeled my potatoes. We're going to have to have potato smiles now.
What a treat. Abby sends Jack to his room so that she and Kevin can have a bit of a chat. Kevin blames himself for raising an arsonist. He's like, I've been doing everything wrong lately and now I've clearly been setting a terrible example to my son. And Abby's look, nobody suspects Jack at the moment. We need to keep quiet about this. So Kevin, the noble soul, decides to go and confess to the crime himself.
It was me.
I did it. So he bumps into Debbie on the way, tells her that he's going to do it. Debbie rushes back to tell Abby what's going on, and they hotfoot it to the police station to try and stop him. But it's too late. By the time they reach him there, he's about to go into Swain. And then we get another interview scene, another bloody police interview scene with Kevin and Swain. She clearly doesn't believe that it was him. She's like saying, are you sure you're not covering for your wife here? And then she's called out of the room because there's been some developments. And I as I said, I didn't realise, I didn't know that Jack was going to be doing that. I going into this week, I had no idea where this story was going. So the fact that there was a fire was, a bit of a nice, surprising development for me. But this moment where she gets called out of the room, I was thinking, what was it? And I was thinking, is Stefan dead?
Yes, that's what I thought was going to happen.
But then I think that was probably taking it too far, because it's already a bit harsh on the showrunners to make Jack a convicted criminal at such a young age, but to pin a murder on him, I think that probably would have been putting too much of a millstone around his neck.
Do it.
But anyway, what's happened is that Jack has made his way to the police station and he's handed himself in. What a noble chap he is.
Being a police officer, I'm just going to say, it feels to me as though in the world of Weatherfield, if you want a day off, if you want a whole day off, you just go, what are you doing? What are you doing today, Swain? You haven't solved any crimes or done anything. We had load of false confessions just all day. I was just interviewing people and they said they did a crime and they didn't do it. She's got false confessions. You got Bobby saying, oh yeah, I saw somebody running out of Lauren's flat wearing Daniel's jacket. You might as well at this point just start investigating ghosts.
You might as well just have a lie detector permanently running in that police cell. The amount the amount of fibs that go on in there.
I'm sorry, that was a lie.
Anyway,
next.
Friday's episode comes, and Debbie's going to be Jack's responsible adult for his interview.
Why can't...
I don't remember why Kevin and Abby can't do it, but whatever. So they go there and
there's a minimum height requirement.
Jack again. Jack was towering over Debbie.
Maybe there's a maximum amount, divided by 2, how big people can be to fit in the room, and happens to be that Jack plus Debbie divided by 2 is exactly... average height.
When they signed in at the reception desk, the desk sergeant was probably like, Jack, are you Debbie's responsible adult here?
Yeah, she did it.
So anyway, he crumbles again in the interview. He's like, I'm not a bad person. It was just in the script for me to do it. And Swain says, like, hold your horses.
I'm not going to
answer the questions.
I'm a nice queen.
We don't get to see too much of the questions, but the interview later goes on to the fact about whether Jack knew that Stefan was in there or not. And according to all the CCTV nearby, which clearly didn't pick Jack up going there to set fire.
The CCTV in Weatherfield is like always pointed somewhere else.
Yeah.
I tell you what, they would never find Bigfoot. If he lived in Weatherfield, they'd never find him.
So
that must be what's happening.
Maybe. Bigfoot is, well, we know it's Carrot, isn't it?
We're never gonna let that go.
Never gonna let that drop. Yeah, I don't know why they couldn't see that Jack was the one that set the fire, but they were able to ascertain from local CCTV evidence that there were clearly people in that building at the time. And if we can tell that, Jack, why couldn't you see it? And he's like, I didn't know, I'm sorry.
I just got an image in my head of in Home Alone where the kid sets up the party and he's got all these animatronics like doing a bop. And that's what...
Oh, and that's what was going on.
That's what Jack saw. He's like, it's obviously just an elaborate burglary trap. I'm not going to fall for that.
Yeah, if only the Home Alone burglars had just set McAllister's house on fire, they could have saved themselves a lot of bother.
Yeah, you're right. What a plot hole. Excuse me.
Anyway, they go back home later. Adam's there. Oh yeah, Adam's been Jack's lawyer because Dee Dee's too busy draping herself around Joel on Friday. And Adam says, look, if he pleads guilty, he's going to get an ankle tag. Make sure you put it on the actual leg and not the fake one. Maybe he's even going to go to young offenders. And so the big question is, how should he plead? Should he plead guilty and, maybe he'll...
take a hit?
Yeah.
Or... not guilty and risk a trial that could be worse.
Well, what he's pleading to, because Swain has decided that clearly he knew what he was doing. Yeah, she's going to charge him with arson in an attempt to endanger life. And I'm thinking we're going to have a bit of a Toya situation here, where she was charged with...
overcharged.
Yeah, she was. It was murder, wasn't it?
Yeah, they can't prove it.
They couldn't prove that. She managed to walk away, clearly having done it, but because it wasn't murder, she's now, I'm free to... get on with the rest of my life.
Some might say that happened to a very famous case in America where a lady was accused of murdering her child and she got away with it because they overcharged her.
I wouldn't know anything about that. What I'm kind of assuming at this point that he's going to plead not guilty and then there won't be enough evidence to convict him of
I think he's going to
the
plead
charge.
guilty.
Do you?
Yeah, because he's a bit of a drip, isn't he?
Is that what drips do? Plead guilty.
Plead
Can you imagine? Jack Webster, how do you plead?
I'm a drip.
Guilty. Oh, you drip.
You absolute
You drip, Mr. Webster.
Well, pathetic. I'm going to give you community service for being a drip.
So yeah, I think he's going to plead
because
not
he
guilty
wants
and then get away with it.
Listen, the behaviour of somebody who goes to confess in the first place makes me think he's going to...
But he doesn't. He absolutely didn't do it.
He didn't do
with
the thing they're saying.
intention of murdering, endangering life.
The trouble about here's the problem with making Swain a regular character, but keeping her as a cop, is that because the cop is always the adversary of the main whatever character is comes across their path, unless they're a villain, she's going to be the villain instead, right? So she's always having to make mistakes or be overly harsh or do something that's going to make the other character triumph over her.
Yeah.
Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
Well, no, but it's just difficult because it's really hard to root for her in this situation because she just has decided she doesn't believe Jack. And I believe him. I guess she's got no reason to, and she's got evidence to say that you can call that into question.
Yeah, well, Jack 100% wouldn't have meant to have killed somebody. He didn't do it knowing that somebody was there. I know he took leave of his senses when he set the fire to begin with, but he's not that dense.
Mind you, we said that about Toya.
I know, we did.
They turned around and made her a killer.
Yeah, no, I think he's going to be fine, and that's maybe the whole thing with this story. It feels like at parts it's a bit too high drama, and then it just sorts itself out, and it's fine in the end. We got Kevin up in.
That could be the slogan of Coronation Street. It's fine in the end.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that this story is supposed to be an A story to the year or anything close to it, but I feel like I'm supposed to be invested in it a little bit more than I am. I'm hoping that it's going to draw to a conclusion soon. I think that a character being set on fire, you'd think would be the climax, but who knows? We've got Kevin having his plea hearing next week about the burglary, haven't we? What do you think is going to happen there? I mean, we're not going to see Kevin sent down, are we? Is he going to plead guilty, not guilty? Is he going to get away with it?
No, I don't think there's no consequences.
I think Avi just needs to commit a crime now so that they can make the set.
Yeah.
They can imagine the Websters as the mafia crime family of the street.
Debbie's going to have to move in to keep the house.
Well, Debbie's already, she's the master criminal of them all, hasn't she? With her and Ray Crosby
caught,
a few years
ago.
ago.
So that makes her a master criminal.
She is, that's very right. So there we go. There was the Jack story. What did you think, everybody? Did you like the twist of Jack being a mega arsonist?
I liked that twist, but I just don't feel like it landed.
Yeah,
I'm hoping says, "Oh, well, I don't like the Lauren story and the Lauren and Joel story because I don't really know them that well." I'm going to argue that you know Jack less than you know those two.
Yes, but yeah, absolutely. Jack's
like an enigma.
I mean, Jack has played by Kieran, has been in the show for 7, 8 years maybe. I'm trying to think. His first big break was nearly getting hit by a tram in Blackpool, wasn't he? But he's had so much time off of screen, and he was brilliant with the leg loss story. But he's understandably, because the kids got to go to school and everything, been very quiet since then.
Criticising any.
I'm hoping that
I'm
hoping that this could be in some ways a breakout story for him, in the same way that the internet and viewers have really taken to Charlie Renshaw in the bullying story, but it still remains to be seen. I'm not sure at the moment. I'm not as convinced, but I'm willing to be convinced.
Yeah.
Gemma, doubling over in pain. It's time for you to tell us what's been going on with the Lauren and Joel and.
Right, Dee Dee's getting carried away on Monday. She's enjoying wedding planning.
Yeah, she's turned into a bit of a bridezilla, hasn't she?
No, I hate it when people call women bridezillas. So you want to trigger me.
Yeah.
I hate it. Society sets up this expectation that your wedding day is supposed to be the best day of your life and the woman's responsible for making it happen. And then when she cares about anything, they're like, bridezilla, control freak, weirdo. You care about your wedding, you nasty woman.
She wants a Cadillac on Monday, doesn't she?
Well, then Joel says, listen, bud, I've got a divorce coming up. I've got a kid. Money's tight. And she's like, oh, yeah, you're right.
We just need to mention the fact that we were watching it with the subtitles today, and at one point he calls her Deeds, didn't we? And we both turned to each other and said, Mr. Deeds.
Mr. Deeds.
Which is one of my favourite comedy films
of all
ever.
Time.
Yeah.
In cinematic history.
Lots of people don't really like Adam Sandler, do they? I get that idea.
I think they're jealous because he gets to just make crap films.
But Mr. Deeds is comedy gold. So anyway, Joel will be Mr. Deeds and Dee Dee will be Dee Deering.
Joel's very, very sneaky.
He is very, very sneaky, yeah. And if you don't get that reference, watch the film. And try and keep a straight face during the cat scene.
You might regret it only a little. Okay, so Dee Dee's very understanding because, as always, the partner of a crim is always just the best person alive.
Yeah, completely blind to their intended.
Besotted and lovely and
variousness.
Yeah. So Joel brings Maeve round, and I was annoyed immediately. I was like, I can't believe this kid is real.
I think we've given up hope already of Maeve being a fake character, but they really seemed, the way that they were playing it earlier this year, they could have gone down the route where Maeve was just a figment of his imagination.
Apparently not a criminal, just weird.
Well, Emily's not been in the show since the big reveal of Joel being a criminal, have they? She needs to come back into this, but, this story's already got, 3 characters in it, so they're already at max capacity here.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, Maeve, and obviously, maybe she's still an actor. I'm holding out hope that Joel's got some kind of hook up to a baby
baby talent agency.
Yeah, just like...
And so that Maeve and Emily are still just part of his
ruse.
Master criminal scheme. Maybe.
Why did they make her real? It's more hilarious. I know it's far-fetched, but it's never stopped them before. Anyway, Maeve is real. Everyone's disappointed. I've never been so sad to see a baby in all my life. So she was adorable, though. And obviously Dee Dee, because she's lovely, is doting on her. They're going to make cupcakes. And Dee Dee's like, oh, he's such a great dad. And Joel's like, oh, I feel guilty because I'm probably going to be a very bad dad to another child this week.
Well, hopefully this other child might not actually make it.
So
I can't remember how it was now, but I remember the charm bracelet got a bit of a shout out, didn't it, in that scene? The one that he said he was going to buy for Maeve, but he didn't buy it. I can't remember. But I don't know whether that's going to turn into anything. I probably should have written down exactly what he said about it.
What did he say about?
The charm bracelet.
What
the one
charm
that
bracelet?
The one that he said
got her?
Yeah, the one that he got her when he was actually also getting Lauren the necklace.
Did he actually have it then?
No, he mentioned it.
I don't know.
Or she did.
Okay. Right, so in the cafe, Dee Dee says...
In-depth commentary from Michael and Gemma on this podcast. He maybe said something about something, but we can't remember what. What happened next?
What are you here for, everybody? What are you here for? If not just waffling.
Just the husband and wife arguments, I think.
Yeah!
The bickering.
Woo-hoo-hoo! That's because we're a real couple. We're not one of these fake people like Dee Dee who's just nice all the time. Dee Dee's like, oh, you want more kids? And then he says, depends on whether it's with Lauren or you. Because a big no to the first one.
He does not.
He said, I'd love more, but I can't wait, indeed. He gets a text from Lauren summoning him, so he pops off. He says, I've got to make a phone call. So he takes Maeve to the flat, and I love this scene. This was really unexpected because Lauren meets this kid who is her unborn child's half-sister. And she's, he obviously just gives her the kid because he's got to go fix the leak in the bathroom. And when he's done, Lauren's there with this kid on, holding her and looking at her. And she says this baby is going to be, my baby's going to be Maeve's little brother or sister. And he's like, oh no, not having that. They'll probably never even meet. He's immediately dismissing it because I think if this child becomes more real, he's going to struggle to do what his plan is.
Yeah, and say what you like about Joel and his evilness, but they definitely did a good job, I think, in showing his battling with his inner demons this week. Like, should I do what I'm doing or not? Yeah. With the pills. He didn't want to, but he knew he had to do it for quite a life.
Well, yeah.
And it still wasn't worth it in the end. He still got a baby out of the end of it.
Well, he makes some comments about Lauren and the baby getting what they deserve. Like, oh, make sure you get what you deserve, and leaves. Anytime anyone says that to me, because I'm paranoid, I automatically think they're being horrible to me. So Joel finally gets back home, and Dee Dee is saying, do you want me to just talk to Emily about how much money she's trying to get out of you to get her to back off a bit? And Joel's like, no, I don't want to jeopardise the time I get with Maeve. And she says, okay, I understand. But surely if you're getting equal time with your kid, then you don't have to pay... I'm not getting involved in it. I'm not getting involved in Joel's divorce. He can sort it out himself. On Wednesday, Joel is getting frustrated because he has got this drugs, this medicine that he's ordered.
They named it. I don't know whether I wrote down the name of the drug, but it was fake Weatherfield joke.
I was just aghast at that because
medicine, pills.
I want them to be completely realistic and make sure that everyone knows what to grind up in pregnant women's food.
Just to make it come a bit early.
Well, anyway... So his thing's out for delivery, and he's like on the phone to the person going, you've got to tell me as soon as it's delivered. Right, okay. Why doesn't he has an office, why doesn't he get it delivered there? Because he's never working, because he's a lazy ass. Right, Joel brings Lauren some groceries, and she's like, why are you giving me all this fruit and apples and crap? I don't want it. I want
eclairs.
And that's I want £5.
Chips and eclairs.
Later on, Dee Dee gets this package. And she's on the phone leaving a message to Joel as she gets it. And the delivery driver goes off and Dee Dee's like, hang on, this is not even for me. And she tries to chase him, but too late. She looks at it, it's for E. Smith. And Michael's there with her and he's like, let's open it and we can find out who it belongs to. And she's like, it's illegal, it's a crime. You can't open someone else's post. Meanwhile, Joel is in the station and he gets a message from Dee Dee that's left on his answer phone, and it's her going, oh, Joel, blah, blah, blah. Wait a minute, here's a parcel. I've got to sign for it. And he's like, oh, no. He's got to go into a client, so...
You got to hold fire for a bit before you can rush back to try and intercept.
And right as that's happening, Lauren turns up. And Joel's like, eyes on stalks here, completely panicking. All these things are happening and going wrong. But he has this client he's got to sort out. So he goes back into the lobby later and he's like, look, if you're here to dob me in, kiss goodbye to Ireland. I mean, what's he going to do? Blow the whole thing up? It's a bit rude. It's a bit of an over-exaggeration, isn't it? She says, no, I'm here to collect my stuff from the other week when I was brought in for being a...
Scally.
Runaway
Scally.
So, back at the flat later...
What was going on in that scene? Because I'm kind of only I get this is another story that I'm not as interested or invested in as I think I should be. And it's another one with, characters that I like the idea of a villainous... a girl beater like Joel and sort of ducking around in alleys and everything. I've still struggling to like Lauren. So I don't know. This feels like it should be big, but in my head it just doesn't feel big at all.
I like Lauren because she's like me. She doesn't care to be nice to you. She's horrible.
I wish that I could invest myself in this more because it clearly is.
You invested in me, didn't you?
The A stories.
You can only cope with one Mardy woman at a time. Right, so Joel comes back to the flat. Dill is still on. I was just shocked seeing you earlier, and she says, "Oh well, good. I'm mad at you. I don't know why. Just general." Joel goes back to Didi's flat, sees the package, and he picks it up and says, "Oh yeah, this is for me. This is for a client of mine." And she's like, "Oh wow, what on earth could that be for?" And he's like, "Oh, it's confidential." And she's like, And he says, "Actually, she's in an abusive relationship. I can't believe you even asked me. It's so terrible of you,
My
Didi."
client Emma Smith. I don't know whether anyone can pick up that somebody, our neighbour, is doing some very loud hedge trimming next door. But
is that what it is? I thought he was making a fence again.
Oh, I don't know, but there is some very loud noise going on. So apologies for that.
Right. So he's saying, no, it's for a client, and they both believe him because it makes perfect sense. I like Joel because he's a good liar. So he goes back to the flat.
Joel and Lauren, just like your perfect couple. The Marty.
Do you know what? Yeah.
And the brilliant, devious liar.
Brilliant.
You look up to them, don't you?
I do. They're
your
who
role
I want to be.
You wish you could be their child.
Oh, Mummy and Daddy, Joel and Lauren. Anyway, so he says that, sorry as a grump, I've got a hold of the money for you and we're going to sort everything out. And then back in the car...
Oh yeah, he says that to Lauren, doesn't he? He's going to send her off to Ireland.
Back in the car, gets the box of pills out and he looks at it and has him cry, confliction, sad times. What am I going to do?
Am I actually going to try and induce my baby a little bit early? So
a little bit.
Well, yeah. So we find out on Friday's episode that, what did it say, 24 weeks?
No.
I thought it was.
No, I thought 24 was the... Listen, we had a very sad story with Michelle and Rory, who was born prematurely, and he was born just 1 week before the baby that Lauren delivers on Friday.
Yeah. So
because of that 1 week difference, the poor Rory wasn't helped in hospital, but Lauren's baby is. And I think, I don't know if Coronation Street's, I can't see how they can possibly make any connection between these two, because these characters have got nothing to do with each other and nobody who's got anything to do with either one is going to remark upon it. But just as an aside, as a viewer...
there is a 1 week difference between Rory and Baby Bolton.
Even more tragic in retrospect to think of poor Michelle and the baby desperately trying to get somebody to do anything about it and them saying, no, we're not, because of a week's difference. So on Friday, Joel arrives, Lauren's Mardy again, but he says to her, look, I found this place that you can stay in Ireland. I've sorted it all out. And she's mad because it's a bed sit and she doesn't want to stay in a bed sit. But he's like, look, we'll just... this is just the first step. And then when you get there, you can find somewhere that's better. I'm going to go... You go get some food from the precinct. And so when she goes, Joel phones Didi and tells her he's got to do a meeting, but he thinks everything's going to be sorted out on this case today.
Ominous.
Yeah. So then we have Max and Bobby, because did you miss them? No.
I'm not going to say I was
love Max.
pining for either.
I love Max because I love Paddy Beaver. I don't know the actor who plays Bobby.
Jack Carroll.
But I know some people really like him because of his great stand-up career that he's had. But I don't think anyone was really thrilled to see either of them here. These two simps trying to get in Lauren's pants.
No. Bobby said that he's not interested in Lauren. He doesn't fancy her anymore, apparently.
So
he would say that just because he's been given the knockback.
Exactly.
He's going to be moving on to Betsy next, I reckon.
Yeah.
I saw somebody online actually suggesting that Betsy could fall for Mason. And I think that they could make quite a good couple. Couple of bad uns together.
Couple of bad uns.
Yeah.
Right, so Max and Bobby are like, can we talk about our feelings about Lauren? We haven't seen her for a while, not answering her calls, she got mad at us.
Yeah, this kind of, I suppose this was useful to me, because I kind of lost track of how many people know or care where Lauren is.
No one cares.
Because she's been hauled up in Joel's flat. Nobody's really interested.
This is just, honestly, this is modern life in a nutshell. Everyone was up in arms with literal pitchforks, trying to get Roy in trouble, saying he was a murderer, and rallying around him, trying to sort this out. Then Lauren turns back up, and within seconds, everyone's just on to the next drama.
Well, they haven't taken down the missing Lauren Bolton
No, they're not even bothered about doing that. Do you just imagine this poor good Samaritan is in Roy's Rolls going, oh my God, I've seen her, I saw her at the precinct. I can't believe this, I've solved a crime. I'm helping, I'm being a good citizen.
Yeah,
I never thought I'd recognise somebody off a poster. I always look at them and think, who's ever going to recognise them off a poster? I wouldn't be able to do that, but I did, I've seen her. And they're like, oh yeah, she's been around for ages. She's come back the other week.
Just haven't got any other posters to replace it with.
They were doing yoga down the community centre, but they're not anymore. It's too hot. Could have done hot yoga, I suppose, but they haven't put that on the poster. Anyway, Max and Bobby are gossiping about Lauren, and Lauren's in the precinct.
Getting her bag snatched.
Luckily, Max is there, and he helps her to get home by getting her a taxi on his mobile phone taxi app, which of course Max would have been able to afford.
It was just very
in Manchester.
Nice. There were a couple of handy coincidental appearances
when
at the
he lives round the corner
Friday.
from a tram station.
Yeah, so we had. He was happily there at the time to see the mugging nearly
there were
take
lots
place,
of...
and then Dee Dee just happened to turn up later on as well at the right time.
Max was in many convenient places. Right, so Lauren's got her bag snatched, and the mugger is actually being paid by Joel. Well, he's not being paid by Joel, he's being blackmailed by Joel. He brings the bag to him, and he takes out her phone and her keys. And Joel says to this mugger, right, your legal fees are paid off, but if you blab, I'm going to send you to young offenders.
I quite like that twist of the mugger being Joel. Again...
Not Joel,
Joel's lackey. Again, a mugging on Coronation Street doesn't hit quite as hard as it used to. Like when she got a bag snatched, it's just like... rather than, oh my gosh, poor Lauren. But yeah, then when he turns up in Villain's Alley with Joel, it's like, oh, the sneaky get. So what's his plan here? Because he's still got her stuff, hasn't he?
What do you mean?
Was the idea for this to stop her getting to Ireland? Because she mentions later on...
What are you talking about?
No, she mentions later in the episode, all my ID's in there. So I'm wondering whether she's not going to be able to... I mean, you don't need a driving licence to get on the plane.
He chucks it all in a bin, he doesn't care. He doesn't care what happens to her after this. Listen, the only reason Joel is helping Lauren right now is because the baby is his baby, and he doesn't care about the baby, obviously. He knows the baby is the evidence that he's been having sex with Lauren. That's the only reason he's doing any of this, because, like I said before, this would turn into a he said, she said, without the evidence, which is the baby which has half of his DNA. So he knows, I've got to get rid of the baby. Once I get rid of the baby, Lauren's got nothing on me. All of her stories will turn into fantasy that she can't prove. Really, can she?
Yeah.
So once the baby's gone, I don't care whether she gets to Ireland. I haven't really bought her a thing. I've just printed something off the internet.
No, you're right. I suppose
I'm chucking her ID in the bin because she don't need it. I don't care about it. All he wants is the phone and the keys so they can lock her in the flat.
Of course, that makes total sense.
So she can't get help. So the amount of time she's spending with
having a baby on her own
increases the risk to both mother and child.
Yeah. No, it makes more sense for him to go to Ireland Like, I don't know. I suppose the only reason that he's been delaying her trip so far is because he's been waiting for this package of pills to arrive. And as soon as, I guess what his plan was, that he would have her, have this baby early, lose the baby, and then still carry on sending her over to Ireland. Although now that now she's had the baby, there's going to be people rallying around her to try and give her support. So I think the likelihood that she's going to be hopping over the Irish Sea anytime soon is pretty low.
Well, we're mad now because we've been to Northern Ireland on a very tenuous link to Coronation Street, and we were hoping to be able to go to Ireland with our Patreon money. From our go anywhere. As long
as it's been mentioned in Coronation Street.
The more foreign locations Coronation Street goes to, the more chance we have of going on holiday there and pretending that we're doing the podcast. So I wish that she'd gone to Dublin, but it doesn't look very likely at the moment.
I think
it's a bit
not.
rude.
I think not.
Anyway, so Lauren's just had her bag stolen, and Max is there. She's like, go get my bag, and he's like, no.
Nah.
I'm going to sit.
I want to sit here and feel your baby bump, please.
That's right. So they're both really, it was really sweet because they were both really happy about feeling the baby moving. And then he says, look, please don't run away again. Why don't you come back? And he's trying to get her to stay with him or Bobby, and she won't answer and says she has to leave. And then she sees Dee Dee turning up and she sort of runs away quickly.
Yeah, she's spinning the yarn that she's staying with a mate, isn't she, at the moment, but hasn't said who, where, whatever.
No, and again, if I was Bobby and Max, I'd take the hint that you're not her friend.
I know.
Like, she's not being I know she's got reasons, but if my friend was like this to me, I'd be like, okay, fine. Like, honestly, I've taken the hint here.
I learned to live without you all those months that I was that you were missing.
Yeah. Right, so Joel finds Lauren packing her bags to leave later on, and he's saying, look, you got to be patient. And
because she's decided she does
in with Max, and he's like, look, if you go to live with Max, it's going to make everything really difficult. You just have to be patient, and we'll do what our plan was. And she says, well, I've just been mugged. And he's like, oh, what?
Really?
What did they take?
Wow.
I hope they didn't take your keys and your phone. That's exactly what they took, and my ID, and they threw it in the bin. And he says, look, don't worry about it. I'll get your phone. I'll sort everything out. But first of all, I'll make you a soup, which might taste gritty and weird, but trust me,
no questions. It's
really delicious and good for you.
This is becoming a bit of a regular thing. This is the Friday Corrie pill crushing, isn't it? We had it with Billy last week. This week we've got Joel.
Lovely.
Seems to be a bit of a thing.
Yeah. So Joel's question.
This time they actually administered the deadly concoction.
Joel's crushing pills, puts them in a pan of soup, calls Lauren for her lunch. She starts drinking it, and then she says, oh, I'm not really hungry. And he's like, listen, Lauren, if it's the last thing I ask of you, please drink this soup. He doesn't say that, but
he's still very, very conflicted. He doesn't want to be doing it because he knows that he could well be, consigning his unborn child to.
Well, he does that great, soap thing of like anguished look while somebody's doing something or other that's, the plan is going well, but I don't want it to. So she's eaten. He looks ashamed. She's eaten all of it by the end after the break, and going on about, I feel bad, I got mugged. And he's like, oh yeah, why don't you have a rest, and I'll go and get you some new phone, new keys, and so on. So
I can afford to buy you a new phone, but I was just scraping together the money to get you tickets to Ireland.
That's right, exactly.
Didn't quite add up, but never mind. Maybe he's had a windfall.
Maybe he's like, there's a guy who's selling a really cheap phone. It just smells like smoke. His name is S. Brent. I'm going to be...
Maybe it's like, I just was fishing around at the bottom of the River Irwell, and I found this phone here that you might quite like.
It's just whenever you talk to anyone, it's like...
Don't look at the photos that are stored in it. Don't look at the video deepfake app that's on there.
But there is a deepfake app if you wanted to make some money. I mean, I know you're pregnant, but you can change your body on it.
You used to do Ovids, didn't you?
Oh dear. Right, so Dee Dee is draping herself over Joel in the flat later, going, oh, why are you so stressed out? Do you want to... And he's like, look, do you want a takeaway? Do you want to have a takeaway tonight? And she says, I'm seeing Paul, and he's a bit annoyed, but then...
Yeah, what was the point of this scene?
I don't know.
I wondered whether it was a case of...
Cut for Canada.
I wondered whether it was a case of he needed to have her as an alibi for something, but...
He doesn't really, does he?
He doesn't in the end, no.
Well, I mean, how could you prove anything? I don't know. Would they test for this? I don't know. This mystical pill that doesn't exist.
Yeah,
we don't know whether there would be a trace or anything of it in somebody's system or...
I don't know whether people would automatically... think that foul play was afoot. Because these kind of things happen, don't they?
Yeah. So, over in Joel's flat, Lauren's like, la 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 la. Oh no!
Oh, I'm having a baby.
Oh my goodness me. Rolling around, poor girl. I felt so awful for her, knowing that Joel had locked her in there with no phone and she can't get out. That was horrible. I know, does this make me a bad person? Because I was like, An intriguing plot is afoot here. He's going to induce P. What is his plan? And then when he locked her in and she couldn't get help, that suddenly made me realise how cruel and horrible he was. And I know it was obvious before then, but something about being helpless and trapped really got to me on a different level.
It didn't affect me.
I know,
I was just kind of watching it. I was just being really unsympathetic.
Look, sometimes things hit us in different ways, and it's because of who we are and how we got to where we are.
Yeah.
Things are just different. Like, if there was an episode where a teacher was being Ofsteded, we wouldn't care, but Michael would have to lay down with a cold flannel.
Man. I'm just saying, Lauren, just call out of a window. Come on, love.
Luckily, she
Knock
just
on
went...
the pipes.
She just went, ow! And then you hear... Can you hear that? It's footsteps. Hello, it's me, Max. Do you need any medical assistance?
I very conveniently and helpfully happened to have turned up at just the right moment.
How did you know I was here?
I noticed on the taxi app where it was dropping you off.
Oh,
earlier.
that makes sense.
Does he actually ask, like, who's your friend that you've been staying with? Who's your mate?
This is what I mean.
Floor you've been having a baby all over.
This is what I mean, okay? Bobby and Max have only got themselves to blame because Lauren turns up, goes, hi, yeah, I was on the run the whole time. No more questions. And they went, fair enough. I will not ask you any questions or intrude upon your privacy. Sorry, you're my friend. You've been off gallivanting while a man's been tried for murder. You don't have any privacy as far as I'm concerned. You're my friend. You got to spill the beans. I want to know what's been going on. There's obviously gossip you're hiding from me. What are you saving it for? The book? I'm not buying it. I'm getting a free copy, so you might as well tell me now. Anyway, so she's writhing in pain, and Max appears to help her. And he gets
up Bobby, doesn't he?
Help. And yeah, so Bobby's in the Rovers by himself, Bobby no mates, having a drink, and Joel and Dee Dee are behind him in the booth, overhearing half of this conversation where Bobby's like, hello? What's that? Lauren, you say? Writhing in pain, you say? Got to buy us some pyjamas from the shop, you say? Oh, okay, well, can't you do... Okay, well, I'll do it then, yes, fine, I've got loads of money, I guess.
I wonder if...
See you later.
I wouldn't trust Bobby to do it. He's probably buying her some slinky negligee, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's like, can you wear this for me, Lauren? I don't fancy you anymore.
Don't fancy you anymore, but they only had this red and black lace teddy. Sorry.
Underworld's finest.
So they get from Bobby that Lauren has gone into early labour, and obviously Joel and Dee Dee are... Well, Dee Dee's lovely, so she's aghast and saying this is way too early. I don't think this is bad news. And Joel's like, oh, this is too early for the baby. And Joel's like, there's probably not a baby anymore. And she's like, Joel, how could you be so horrible? You should do a Coronation Street podcast if you're going to say horrible things like that. And he says, oh yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes I just say what I mean. In the hospital, Lauren's screaming, make it stop. And the nurse is like, your waters are broken, which I guess means there's no
going back.
No way back. We can't, we don't have the technology to put water back in. So, sorry. So, later on, we cut from that, and then we just see Lauren and Max. And Lauren's sort of trying to sleep. And Max is saying you did a great job.
I think they could have possibly made it a bit more of a mystery about whether she'd had the baby by this point, because Max's reaction made it pretty clear to me.
It wasn't,
oh, she's a mum
now,
she's
like,
had the baby.
You did a great job. You'd be like, I'm so sorry, Lauren.
Yeah. I'd like to have been thinking, oh, maybe she's lost the baby. We could have
honestly... They've stopped doing a proper Friday cliffhanger, but really it could have been... Max with Lauren, you know, and he's holding her hand and she's crying, and then Dee Dee and Joel come in, and then we don't know whether the baby... But I guess
they could have just not had that scene whatsoever. They could have ended it with
I don't
Joel finding out about it in the Rovers, and then we have to wait until Monday to...
I think that... The thing is about it, you know, you can say, okay, but this is very deeply personal and upsetting for lots of people. But so are lots of other things that Coronation Street does, and nobody cares about that. So it's, you know, they come in and Dee Dee's like, oh, I'm so sorry. And they're like, about what? Because the baby's fine. Well, no, the baby's
not fine. It's in the special care unit.
Special care unit, but the baby was delivered and is a boy.
Yeah, I think she knew it was a boy before, didn't she?
She said it was a boy.
She knows it's a boy, but not that she's had any specialist care while she was in hiding because she had to keep her identity secret from everybody. But so baby Bolton is born.
All the choreo writers are like, you thought it's going to be during the wedding, but you were wrong.
I know. Like, honestly, I was... Even though Joel has been talking for weeks about finding some pills to induce this pregnancy, the labour earlier, I didn't expect... I didn't contemplate the fact that we could be, you know, having a new Corrie baby anytime soon, so it caught me off guard, really. I thought that he would bottle it, or that... I don't know. But yeah, so we've got Lauren with a baby now. The question is, I suppose, is it going to survive? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that she's going to be all right, the baby, or he's going to be all right?
Yes, I think the baby will live.
Does it make more sense, kind of narratively, for her to be cradling a little baba and Joel still be sweating? Yeah,
because the baby is the weapon now. I'm sorry, but it's true, because nobody is questioning the parentage at all. There's no reason. Nobody can enforce her to do a test to prove who the father is until any allegations come out, in which case, you know, this is her... She doesn't need to send an email to Swain as a dead man's switch in case anything happens to her, because the baby exists and is proof. The very fact that Joel's not said anything about the fact that, you know, what's he going to say? Oh, sorry, I fell asleep and then I found Lauren, like, sinisterly taking something from me that she's used to make a baby.
You mentioning that email to Swain kind of made me wonder, like, is Lauren going to forget that she sent it? Because that's due to send in about... That's due to send in about a week, 2 weeks' time. I can't remember how long she set it for.
Is she still going to want... The thing is she still going to want to go to Ireland? And I guess she can go with a baby, really young baby. Not when he's in hospital, though. She's going to have to wait for him to get better.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I was just having a look online earlier on and found out that babies that are born earlier than 27 weeks are usually in the neonatal unit for a good 90 days on average. Wow. I think it was like 93 days on average. So we could when is it?
Amazing what they can do.
September, October. It could be end of October, early November before this little baba even leaves the hospital.
What's Joel going to do when he sees this baby?
When's the wedding scheduled for? Is it late September?
End of September.
So... I mean,
it works out, doesn't it?
Well, it doesn't, because that's 2 months' time. So the idea of Lauren marching into the wedding with Joel's baby in arms again.
Yeah, but they'll be like, "Oh, Lauren, it's amazing. Your baby's doing
made so much progress."
The thing is, I don't look. Are you ready for ignorant commentary about things that I shouldn't be talking about?
We don't know about babies.
Does the fact that the baby, the what's it called? The labour was induced by a pill, which doesn't exist, right? Does that mean the baby might be more healthy than a baby who might have been prematurely born for another reason? I don't know why babies are prematurely born, but I assume some of them have health problems. But this baby
healthy
didn't
or
have
not,
a health
it's still going to be like super tiny and young.
Yes, it will be. Yeah, it can't... Oh.
Do babies who are always born a bit premature, do they always stay in neonatal units? I don't know. Do they always wait till the 9 months are up?
No, I don't think it works like that.
So
you think it goes ding? Oh, there you go. Time is gone.
You can go home now.
9 months exactly.
Yeah. So what's Joel's next move going to be then?
Poor baby. I want to know what the baby's name is. Do you? Do you think?
I'm not desperate to find
Oh my god!
out.
I can just imagine Lauren doing this because she is a Mardy cow and I do admire her for this. But I can imagine everyone gathered around and she's there and Dee Dee's like, "Oh, Lauren, you got any idea what you're going to call it, love?" She says, "Yeah, I'm going to call it Joel.
Staring
It helped me so much. And he's like, oh, God.
I'm going to call it Joel Jr. Don't ask why. Just like a baby with a suffix.
I've always wanted a junior.
He's going to, I wonder whether... Because he didn't want this baby to be born alive. Now the question is does he want to try and finish it off? Which I know is hard, but it's gonna.
Mind you, I'm surprised they went where they did with this already.
It's not. It's as somebody in Joel's state, that is gonna cross his mind, isn't it? Because he's got this baby that's fighting for survival. But I think I think that even he, because he's so he showed how.
What a bastard.
Wrestling with his conscience he was when he was delivering this gritty soup. I think that even if he went to the neonatal unit, would they let him in? I'm going to say probably not, but let's say that he gets in somehow anyway.
The baby's my client. Excuse me, let me in. I'm representing him. Custody battle, don't ask questions.
He's going to see this baby and I think probably do the fall instantly in love.
It's going to do something to him.
Yeah. Exactly.
Going to grab him by the gonads.
Yeah, I think so.
Oh. How could you? You can't look at a little baby, can you? How could you? And want to hurt it.
So the question is now that he's just going to have to keep it quiet. Sadly for him, it's going to be a lot more difficult to convince Lauren to get over to Ireland now. For one thing, she ain't going to Ireland in the next 3 months while the baby's in the neonatal unit.
Why did she want to go to Ireland in the first place? I know it's lovely. But why else?
See, it's green and verdant hills. I suppose... I can't even remember. Plot purposes. Does she just want to...
Just wants to make a fresh start.
And yeah, I think so.
But then nothing's changed for her then. The only thing I can think of is that now she would... The thing is, it doesn't... Right. The baby will be... She won't have to look after... She will be there, but she's not... It's not the same thing as having a baby at home.
No.
And having a baby at home, I can imagine... her being overwhelmed and going, actually, I don't think I can do this by myself. I need to stay here because Max and Bobby, the simps, will help me out.
I think that we're going to see...
if I go to Ireland, I won't have anybody.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a big development in Max and Lauren's relationship. And Max, I can even see Max seeing himself as a bit of a surrogate dad for this kid. He's already getting closer to Lauren. I think he's a soppy kid, isn't he, our Max? And I think he's going to be there by the incubator or whatever it is, getting a bit goo-goo over it. He's probably going to convince Lauren to go and live with him, because I can't see Lauren going back to Joel's now, can you? Because
no.
Although she is a bit of a doormat.
Listen, Bobby and Max need to bite the bullet here and get themselves a bachelor pad, because they both want to be, swinging, eligible bachelors, but neither of them have got anywhere to swing.
No.
They need to get their own
Carla's
pads.
house or Gail's.
They want to be serious. This could be 2 men and a grouchy lady, couldn't it?
Yes.
And a baby that's not...
I can see Lauren moving into Max's, getting close to Max, and by the time that she could possibly, do a flit to the Emerald Isle, realises actually, no, my real family is here, and she's going to want to stay around. I mean, at the end of the day, Joel has got a massive shelf life here, hasn't it? Sorry, a very short shelf life.
He's not like his spam, is it?
I can't imagine. No, George is not spam. He's a
delicately baked... What is he? He's more of a sourdough loaf.
Yeah, it's going to go stale before the end of the year.
He's bread sauce.
Do you still see Joel in the programme by Christmas?
No.
I don't think so.
He's never going to make bread sauce for anyone ever again.
Whereas I feel that Curry desperately wants Lauren to stay in this for longer. So I could see her just, staying around, dropping the bomb to Dee Dee and whoever else that Joel's a massive wrong-un, and then the lovely community of Weatherfield will rally around her to help her to be a single mum and raise this baby up on her own.
No, they won't.
I guess.
Forget about her, and she'll keep saying things like...
Or with Max.
Where my baby is being looked after by... blah.
So that's... Yeah, big developments, but like I said,
to know what
still...
this baby's called. That's all I care about now.
I guess Monday we might have an answer to that one. I want to know...
Frank, that's a good... I never hear babies called Frank anymore.
Frank Bolton.
Bolton, brilliant.
That sounds like a classic Coronation in the 60s, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Frank Bolton.
He was a cellar man. back in the day under Annie Walker.
I want to know. I'm thinking about Reese here. He's a granddad now. Is he going to find out about this?
I hope so. What does he think about it? Check Twitter. We can find out.
Yeah. Okay, so...
I'm sorry. The biggest shock of this week, don't forget the baby, forget Max and Bobby still being thirsty, forget Joel going through with his plan. Still the biggest shock for me is Maeve's real. I'm not going to get over it. I'm mad.
Right, I want to move on from this story because I'm not as engaged with it as I should be.
Beth gets shirty.
Beth gets shirty next, which is supposed to be a somewhat minor story. And I don't know whether it's meant to be making Beth or Betsy seem any more likeable, but it's not doing a particularly good job at either of it is. But yeah, so Beth reminds us all this week that she and Kirk aren't married. And this is very much in the same vein as we got with Sally and Tim when they had their whole bigamy story. And then they still carried on living with each other. Sally was still Sally Metcalf. And then a couple of years later, they realised, oh, you know what would make a good story? If they get married again, that'll bring the ratings up. And now I guess they're doing it with Kirk and Beth. Had you remembered that they were still not technically married?
I don't...
I think I thought that they'd maybe just like gone off and done it in the register office.
Even ones that are married, I forget.
Because
sometimes I forget they're going out with each other.
It's been 8 or 9 years, I think, since the whole bigamy reveal came out. And they've lived together as a fairly doting couple since then. I know they've had their fallouts. So we had last year, was it, with the whole Marco thing? Maybe it was brought up then that they weren't actually married. But I would say, in real life, a couple that are supposedly so close to each other as these two are, and they valued their marriage. I know Beth didn't necessarily because she neglected to tell him that she was also married to Daryl at the same time. I just would have thought that they would have wanted to do this rather than leaving it 9 years to get back to how they were. I don't know, maybe that's just me. But anyway, she's saying to Craig on Monday, look, have a bit of cash in an envelope, look after it because I'm squirreling it away so I can buy Kirky a special treat. Later on, we have a scene in the factory, which we get to see Dirk's locker. I was very pleased with this. That was your highlight of the week was seeing Maeve.
No, it wasn't.
Oh no, that was your low light.
That was
your notable moment of the week.
That was my, you've ruined my life moment.
Mine was seeing that Dirk had his very own named locker, and we get to see him go, I want to know what's inside. What would Dirk have inside his locker? Is it just like full of clipboards, maybe? Or... I don't know. He's just such a man of mystery. I can't even bring. It's just full of.
I know.
Grey boiler suits on coat
the
hangers.
enigma.
Yeah.
Cowboy hat and a tutu.
Maybe it is.
You can't tell anything from that.
Maybe it is. But he's got a couple of photos on there. And one of the photos, because I was texting Adam Blease about this the other day, who plays Dirk, and I said, who's on the photos? So I couldn't tell, and it was all the other background artists.
Yeah,
nice. All the other non-speaking extra factory girls.
They have their own life, you know.
But they don't have their own lockers. Dirk is at the top of the pecking order there.
They're unproblematic heroes, these people. They don't have any drama in their lives. They're not interesting at all. They just go to work, keep their mouths shut. That's the most important thing. Go home and have a nice evening, relax.
See, if they're keeping their mouths shut, they seem like prime material that Beth should be asking to help her counterfeit these T-shirts. They're not going to blab, are they? They just happily do it. No drama there. But anyway, so Kirk's helping Beth sort out a bulging locker, and then this 50th birthday invitation falls out. And
50th
birthday invitation falls out, and she says, oh, it's just old, it's a mate from school. But she's kind of snappy when she asks for more.
What happens with this?
Nothing particularly.
It's not real?
No, because Kirk sees Craig later and tells him that I've seen something I'm not supposed to. I'm a bit worried about her going off to this party because I'm worried Marco's going to be there, which is, that ex-boyfriend that she was sniffing around last year. Then I don't think it gets mentioned again after that.
I can't think, I'm sorry.
Because it kind of moves on to the wedding.
I can't think of anything worse than being invited to a 50th birthday in Mallorca with school friends I haven't seen for 30 years?
Any excuse to get a holiday.
Listen, I can tell you guys, nobody's inviting me to it, so you don't need to worry about it.
So I kind of am wondering a little bit as the week goes on, has this kind of been wafted in front of us and then it's going to be brought up again at a later date?
Yes, because it feels like a really big red herring.
Yeah, massive red herring.
Because it's not like, I was thinking, is it some kind of elaborate thing that she's done to hide this, that she's going to take Kirk to Mallorca or wherever. Where was it?
I don't remember.
Say it was Mallorca.
Some foreign isle.
And I'm going to pretend I'm going for this 50th...
Lovely beach.
50th birthday, but I'm not. It's really an elaborate ruse to get a wedding sorted for Kirk. It's not that, is it?
No. I don't know whether I've missed something here. But anyway...
I don't think that's possible.
Craig confronts Beth about this money later.
We're on it. We know everything.
Sometimes we miss things that are paraded clearly in front of our face, but we can't catch it all.
Joel... I don't know why Joel keeps acting suspicious, because he seems like a really nice man.
Anyway, Craig says to Beth, look, this money that you said you've hidden away to buy Kirk something nice, are you actually going to spaff it all on a holiday? And Beth says, actually, no, I'm planning to propose to Kirk, so I'm actually saving money to have a lovely wedding for him. And she does seem quite genuine in this week, doesn't she? As narky as she can be with Kirk, she obviously loves him. She's being a bit of a bridezilla, dare I say it. No, I daren't say that.
A woman who wants to pay for her own wedding. What a bitch. What a control freak.
Wednesday's episode comes along and we get a resurgence of this counterfeiting story because she gives Betsy her money for the first load of T-shirts, but Beth wants to wait a little while till they make a second batch because they don't want to make themselves too obvious that they're doing this under Carla's nose. I
tell you what, I would love to get my hands on one of their Chamel T-shirts.
Then we see Brian delivering a wedding magazine to Beth in the cafe for some reason. I guess the cabin set was out of action.
Maria and I see what you mean.
Yeah, so that Maria and Craig can be there to see it because obviously Maria always has breakfast with Beth. I suppose they are semi-family.
Can you imagine?
And was it this week or last week? I can't remember that we got the reminder on screen that Kirk and Maria were brother. Yeah. The annual reminder that yes, those two are indeed from the same womb.
Maria's thought process here with Kirk and Beth, they didn't get married, but they might as well be. Thinking to herself, nobody around here gets hitched for very long. I only have to tolerate this woman for 2 years tops. I can get her out of my life. And then 5 years later, she's like, "Jeez,
still here.
I cannot believe I'm eating bacon with this woman."
Beth says, "Look, Maria, don't tell anyone." Maria's like, "Don't worry. If it's to do with bullying at the moment, I'm not going to talk about it. That's my life."
I hope you're inviting me, though.
I think that Maria probably will be invited.
I know, but don't keep a secret about a wedding for me if you want me to come to it. I need to know.
So I want the flipping Sutherlands to come along. It's been ages since we've seen Maria and Kirk's mum and dad. Are they still alive? I'm feeling one of them might be dead. I don't remember. Anyway, we see Beth looking through a magazine. She's got her eyes on an expensive venue. Later on, Beth tells Betsy that the person that they're sewing the labels on for doesn't want any more at the moment, but they have been passed on to someone even higher up in the dodgy T-shirt game, and he wants some tops done by tomorrow.
I need 500 Dolce & Bananas by Thursday.
They're going to have to recruit a third person. Who could it be? Who possibly on this shop floor? Who's there left? Literally, I can't
You
even
immediately
think.
Went, Izzy. And I was like, not Izzy.
I don't know how many people are left. Does Sally still work there?
Sally can't be trusted.
I know Fizz does.
Fizz is the supervisor. She can't be trusted.
But yeah, Izzy's the one that's recruited.
I don't know who else is left.
They need
I'm Sean. Sean would do it.
Oh yeah, Sean would totally do it.
He'd be like, "Can I take my cut-in T-shirts, please? This peacock one's starting to look a bit..."
Sean doesn't have the time because he does work 2 jobs at the moment. Don't forget.
True.
And he's got his young Dylan to think of. Anyway, they ask Izzy, who is already, she's got a criminal record. So we know that she's up for
involved.
Any underhand dealings that they might be on offer.
Well,
at first she says, "No way we could get in massive trouble." But Beth's like, "Oh, go on. Nobody would know.
Oh, okay.
You can take Jake on holiday." And she's like, "Yeah, okay then." I think that
how
probably...
much are you getting paid for these knockoff T-shirts? You're literally...
Apparently quite a lot.
Sewing label... Yeah, but nobody buys a knockoff T-shirt for the same price you buy a proper one. You're not making it. You're sewing a label in it. How much could you possibly get paid for each one? It doesn't make any sense.
She's done a good deal. She's cut a good deal as Beth here. But Izzy doesn't need to be asked twice. She's in. I think
She's very impressionable.
I think possibly she should be a little bit more concerned about the fact that she has served jail time already. But hey, who hasn't in Weatherfield at the moment?
Exactly. Everyone's jailbird in Corrie.
Craig's trying to talk to Beth later. He's kind of chasing her down the street and talking about wedding venues. He's found a nice one in Wigan, apparently. And she hasn't got time to talk about it. She says, I'm off to have a drink with the girls. And he's kind of left a bit frustrated in the street because he wants in on this story. And then there's a little scene at the end of the episode where the girls get started in the dark. Seemed a little bit pointless and cut for Canada-y. Because nothing really happened. I was wondering whether there'd be some kind of in the middle of the night drama that went on, but no, they just ended up tired on Friday morning.
Absolutely amateur use of headlamps, can I say. If you're trying to pretend you're not there, stop flashing your lights around and looking all over the place. It's like they're in a silent disco.
So they're knackered the next morning. Carla comes in and says, what are you doing here? What?
Excuse me, I need to defend Beth here. Beth's fine.
Oh yes, Beth's used to pulling an all-nighter.
Izzy and Betsy are both worse for wear. Izzy more so than Betsy. But Beth's just fine. She's like used to the life of crime.
I mean, I'm not surprised about Izzy, to be honest. She does have her medical issues.
And that's what I was thinking. Why would you keep this poor woman up all night and not let her sleep?
Yeah, I think she needs her rest.
I really do think so.
But yeah, Betsy she should be used to this.
Well, exactly. She's young. She should have done it all herself.
Yeah. So Carla doesn't. No, Carla does believe their story. I can't remember.
Well,
they say that we're teaching Betsy how to.
Overlocker.
Yeah, whatever.
Which is a different sort of sewing machine.
Okay. So later on, next bit of drama, and this is the box of T-shirts have disappeared. Oh no! What could have happened? Oh, it's only bloody Kirk. He's taken away. He's loaded them on a van, and
simple man sees box,
halfway
puts in van.
down the road.
You can't blame him for
this point. So Beth has got this meeting booked with the guy who's supposed to be picking up the goods, and she's like, "I'm sorry, they're not quite ready for you yet. Just need a few more hours." And he's like, "You better give them to them soon, otherwise you're in trouble, Missy." Carla calls Izzy into her office later. What's going on? I can tell that there's something sus going on here, but I can't figure out what it is. Izzy thinks that she's been caught out about the T-shirts, but actually it's... Oh yeah, Carla thinks that because Izzy's been doing shoddy work that morning... Because she's sleepy. Carla thinks that it's actually Betsy and Izzy's covering for her or something like that. Even though Betsy has proven herself to be quite competent seamstress at this point, but never mind. Izzy leaves the office relieved, but it doesn't last long because Carla gets a phone call about somebody who has received an order of T-shirts, and Carla's like, but we don't do T-shirts here. What's going on, ladies? So she gets them all together into the office. They like, I don't know what you're talking about. Nothing to do with us, governor.
I loved her 3 theories that she posed to them.
What was it? One of them was...
I forgot what they were.
But you loved them.
I thought you'd write them down.
I did not write the 3 theories down. One of them was what actually was the truth.
Well, one of them was like... I don't remember.
I literally can't remember.
Anyway, yeah, the last one was like, I know you wouldn't have done this because this would be bonkers and illegal.
And it's the one that they've done.
It's the one they were doing.
Yeah. So Carla continues to turn the thumb screws on them, which gets Beth narked, tells her to stuff her job, stomps out, and we don't get to find out any more that happened to Izzy and Betsy.
Izzy and Betsy's still there.
Yeah, but Beth at the end of the episode is having a hush-hush phone call to this guy, in the corner of the pub with Kirk mere metres away, but she's taking a bit of a risk.
You said you could have a job. I could have a job with you. The guy's like, you need to bring me the T-shirts before I hire you.
Yes. So I'm thinking that maybe Monday's episode we might see a bit of a heist scene as Beth gets winched into the top of a factory to retrieve a box of dodgy T-shirts.
Why doesn't he just get Kirk to give it to her?
What do you mean? I thought that it's someone else's factory now, aren't they?
Yeah, I know, but I thought that Carla was going to get them back so she could see what's going on. She asked for them to be returned.
Oh, I don't know.
How is she going to get them returned? Because apparently Kurt's the only person, apart from the Argos van, that delivers.
I don't know. Again, I'm not particularly bothered about what's going on here. It's a very minor story.
For them to have referenced Muleface in this, because Muleface was my favourite.
No, me and you would be the only people that would get that.
But they were like, we've got a load of knockoff Muleface T-shirts. We need to get done, innit?
Me, you, and Chris Anstey would be the only ones that would get that reference.
Love it. And Coropedia.
Yeah. But again, Betsy, I really, really want to like the character of Betsy, but having her as a major-ish character this week, plus Lauren being a much more major character, they're basically the same person, aren't they? Really, we don't know enough about either of them.
Actually, I'm wrong. I was going to say one of them's more pregnant than the other, but that's not true anymore. They're basically indistinguishable now.
Yeah. So, whatever with this story, it's just a thing that's happening, isn't it? I'm sure it'll blow over before you know it. As will the Paul story, which has also got a limited life. Gemma, what's the conclusion? What's the continuation to Friday's shocking developments?
Well, like I predicted, nobody told Todd that the plan was off. So Todd lets himself into the flat and Billy's there looking knackered and Paul's like, Todd's like, oh, what's happened? What's happened? He doesn't look as worried as I would have been. I would have walked in crying and being sick. But he's like, oh, how are you okay? And he's like, yeah, Paul's asleep. But he's like, oh my God. Didn't go through with it. So Billy realises Todd knew something about this, and Todd confirms, yeah, I thought that Paul was gonna end things, and he says he was going to, but then got babysit, so it'd be rude to. And he's planning to do it, but I don't know when. He's still got the plan, and so Todd's like.
I was disappointed we didn't get more Todd this week, considering how last week's kind of set him up as being, a bit of a co-conspirator in Paul's early demise and. A fairly important part of this, he kind of, disappeared off the face of the earth after this scene, didn't he? And it went back to... I don't
remember if he came back.
There was a few little bits, I suppose, because...
Oh, I like Todd.
Yeah,
anyway.
I wish that they'd involve him more. I thought that last week was going to be the opportunity, but okay. It is not.
Billy and Paul alone later, and Billy's saying, look, we need to be clever about this. We need to... You need to be assured that we're alone when you want to be the end. And
nobody else is going to know about it, unless you want people to know.
Yeah, do you want people to prepare themselves? And Paul's like, yeah, I am still doing it, but I need to see Gemma first. So Gemma comes around, Karis is fine, they've shaved her feet down.
Gemma, you're so harsh. I would never say such a cruel thing about Karis's massive feet.
She has a cup of tea and she's going to head off, and Billy tries to delay her, but she's like, I've got lots to do, I've got 5 kids. I feel for Billy during this, because he just like... Paul could be have his finger hovering over that "Oh happy day" button at any second. He's like a hostage to Paul's wishes, and that's no knocking off Paul here, but it is like living your life ready for like a nuclear bomb to go off.
Yeah.
And you don't know when it's going to happen. I don't think anyone could live like this. I can see why Paul feels like, I want to take each day as it comes. I'll wake up in the morning.
It's down to me at the end of the day.
It is my choice and it's my body and I get to decide. Absolutely fine. But not to live with that, not knowing if this day is going to be the last day you see the most important person in your life who you love the most. That's like horrific.
Oh, yeah.
That's like, I mean, they kind of do that in Japan when you're on death row. They don't tell you when your date is up. They just come in and go, right, today's the day, off you go. And that's part of the punishment, really. But Billy's not done anything wrong apart from killing one woman once. For God's sake, keep holding it over him. Right, so Billy, yeah, so he wants to speak to Gemma, does Paul, and he tells her, "Thank you for making me an uncle." And she's like, "Yeah, fine, well, I mean, it kind of happened by accident." Summer and Ashley come back from their night out because she's been treated to a nice hotel, hasn't she? Summer gets a shocking text. What was this? I don't know. Oh, Felix has dumped her.
Yeah.
I can't believe this. I loved Felix.
Yeah, at least he got his water bottle got a little mention, didn't it?
Yeah, so...
Yeah, Paul had a little phrase loaded up on his eye gaze about saying what a tool he was, didn't they?
I never liked him or his stupid water bottle.
Yeah.
Billy's like going, are you going to just, is tonight the night? And he's like, no, I'm not ready yet, but soon. And Summer comes in going, oh no, Felix has dumped me, wow.
Well, no, first Summer comes in and she's looking upset, and Billy thinks that she's been talking to Todd and has found out about what's been going on with Paul. So later on in the scene, he's like, she says, well, what did you mean? Have I been talking to Todd? What's going down here? But later on, it just kind of gets blown away with Todd saying, "Oh, I'd heard about Felix's relationship status online, so that was all that was." It was a bit of a something of nothing.
Yeah.
Felix, yet another character like Moses, just to come in for a couple of episodes and then disappear off again.
Yeah.
Just to occupy us for a little while we're in between big story beats.
The big thing on Monday was Paul telling Billy that he's decided to stay around until his birthday at least.
24th of August, for anyone that hasn't looked this up yet, I think.
Billy's pleased to hear it, because it sounds like he's maybe changing his mind, and Paul doesn't really want to talk about it, he's too tired. And he then writes this big speech that the eye gaze has to read out to Billy, and basically it boils down to he has decided that there's always something around the corner for him that makes it worth staying. Like, maybe my body's past its sell by, but in my mind, I'm still free, and I want to stay for everybody, my family and my friends and you. I'm never going to be ready to say goodbye. I want to go on living as long as I can and let nature take its course. And this was so sad and touching.
It was sweet. It was happy. I thought
this
really,
was wonderful. I was
and this
so
is what we
happy
said
for him.
last week that we were expecting to happen. They couldn't repeat.
I know,
this.
but can I just say they did such a really good job of this, and giving Paul that little speech about there's always something to look forward to. Does it not just put your life into perspective in a way where you're like, oh yeah, I'm really hot, it's 30 degrees. It's like, I know, but look at Paul. Paul's still happy.
I'll remind you of that next time you moan.
I know. It doesn't really help you when you are having problems with something that might be a bit trivial for somebody to go, wow, it could be worse. Yeah, I know it could be worse, but maybe just take things a bit more in your stride and focus on the good things, like, well, I don't know, it's 30 degrees, there's nothing good's happening here.
Yeah, so I think that this is I'm very pleased that they've gone down this route. The question is, I suppose, like, how long now is it going to be? Is he going to die on his birthday? Because that's a bit harsh.
Well, I always say,
like, he didn't want to die on Chesney's birthday, but he'll happily die on his twin
Gemma's
sister's
birthday.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, Michael, that birthday is going to be bittersweet for her every year.
Oh yeah,
Paul's
that's true. So we might as well do it.
Might as well. Why don't you do that?
I think that there is not a chance that he's not going to make his birthday. I think that we'll probably have a really gut-wrenchingly sad but kind of bittersweet birthday episode with the two of them, and then, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be many more weeks after that he's going to have left. And I kind of just think, there's two options really. He's either going to die there with his family all around the bed, which should be touching for this very big...
Alma.
Yeah, like Alma, like Sinead. Or is Billy just going to wake up one morning and Paul's gone? And in a way, I kind of wouldn't mind that, just as a bit of a change. Because okay. I think the whole bedside final moments is maybe a little bit overdone. Although I have a prediction at the beginning of the year.
Once.
I think I had a prediction at the beginning of the year that the little phrase that he recorded saying "I love you, Billy" was going to be the last thing that his voice machine would utter.
Do you think he'll still play Happy Day?
No, that's gone now.
No, but just, because he likes it. Or has he ruined it
I think
now?
he's kind of tainted that song now a little bit. As important as it is because of their wedding, I can't remember.
That's like what we all did with the Robin Hood song.
When was their wedding anniversary?
Playing that over and over again.
Can you just have a look up what the date was that Billy and Paul got married last year? Because it makes me wonder whether it's going to be on their wedding anniversary that he kicks the bucket. Just if we want to... Because it often does happen, something big happens on a particularly important or notable date in Coronation Street. Yeah, I think I'd quite like it for Billy to just wake up one morning and find that he's gone and he's just kind of passed away in the night and he didn't suffer at all.
I think it was my birthday, 2nd of October.
Oh, there we go. That's not out of the question, is it?
What, ruining my birthday?
Yeah.
Never mind your own birthday, never mind Chesney's birthday, ruin Gemma's birthday. That's fine, don't worry about me, I'm not sensitive at all. Doesn't bother me. Just kill everybody off on my birthday, fine.
Super Soap Week has moved around a lot over the past few years. I think that this is going to be the big thing.
Can't believe this. Not having this.
It wouldn't surprise me now if it did coincide with Joel and Dee Dee's wedding. That feels like two big stories culminating in the same week. Wouldn't be completely out of the question. So anyway, continue. Sorry, what's happened for the rest of the week? No, go for it. You got to do it.
On Wednesday, Paul's got a headache.
Don't just read my notes.
But I don't get it. So what? Billy tries to put up a meeting.
I write down things that happen on the telly, whether or not they turn into be something
Billy
important.
comes home early and he's covered in strawberry juice, which is such a bizarre thing to be covered in. Why strawberry juice? Anyway.
Who drinks
Exactly. Who drinks strawberry juice? Some kind of maniac.
Well, it was an old woman in the street with bad corneas. Maybe she thought she was picking up something else.
Tell you what, I'm never drinking strawberry juice again if that's what it does to your eyes. Right, is this why he was inspired to give up his corneas?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
I thought he was just fixated on something.
No.
Right, anyway, so he's talking about, oh, my shirt's ruined now. And so later on, Paul tells Billy, I want to be on the organ donor list, and Billy's like, I don't know if you can be, but what a nice idea. And Paul says, well, my eyes are fine, why don't we give it to that lady? And she's like, I'm not sure really we can be that specific about it. Bernie's freaked out about this, and she reacts badly. She doesn't want to hear about it.
Yeah, she says on Friday's episode, like, I don't like the idea of planning for after you've gone, but I still got the impression she was just a little bit squeamish about it as well.
Yeah,
which isn't,
it's
it's not a wrong reaction to have. Some people will be.
It's all very easy to say, oh yeah, I'm on the organ donor list. That's fine. Yeah. Oh, everyone should be on the organ donor. Aren't you on the organ donor? Yeah, I am. Yeah. I'll give anything. But when it's actually a probability that it will happen in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And also, she's made this body of her own body. This is her child. Imagining him dying and then pieces of him being taken away is quite traumatic. And I know that some people find comfort in that, and I'm sure that Bernie eventually will come around to it, but it's an incredibly affronting thought to just be... She was kind of ambushed with it, you know? She's just trying to make the best of the day she's got left with her son, and the next minute he's talking about having his eyes pulled out.
Yeah, I didn't...
It's a bit visceral. The eyes are one of those things that humans get weird about.
They get weird to the soul.
It's just it's one of the only organs you can see.
Out of?
No, but listen, I can see your eyes. I can't see your heart. I can't see your lungs. You can donate all those things. You can donate bits of skin, yes, but people don't think about that. There's lots of internal organs you can donate, but the eyes, you see them. They're part of the face. Can you see my point?
Oh yeah, of course. It makes me wonder. Like, I assume. Oh no, we find out in today's episode that he can't donate them to a person, can they? But they can donate them to medical science, basically to the MND people. But before we were told that, I was thinking, are they going to donate it to a character who would then turn up, and then somebody like Bernie would be looking into this other character's eyes, and it would be like looking into Paul's eyes.
I know I've seen all these very touching videos with people listening to the heart of their loved one in someone else's body, and
it's a bit like
it makes me cry. It's sad.
It's a bit, who was it? Was it Peter's liver donor coming onto the scene? It was a little bit like that, wasn't it? And saying that this chap's liver was still living on in Peter.
I don't think it was his liver.
What was it? I thought it was.
Oh no, it was his liver. Sorry, I got confused.
Yeah, anyone for foie gras, remember?
Who's got Peter's liver?
No, it's not like that.
Everyone does the swap. It's like being hermit crab.
I'm still waiting for...
Pass the liver to your right.
Still waiting for a Rashid to pop up from and just having a little moment with Tracy. Now that she's carrying Samir's kidney around with her.
What Rashid would that be? Just a random Rashid?
Yeah.
Oh, sad.
Samir's twin brother.
What was it? A kidney?
Kidney, yeah.
You can't really...
kidney.
What can you do with that? Listen to it.
Purify your wee.
Oh, yeah. Let me listen outside the door. Just do a big wee for me, please.
And Tracy's like, I'm sorry, we're soap characters. We don't go to the toilet. That's our thing, you know.
It's like, shut up and chug this water. Felix, lend me this bottle.
Anyway, I feel that we're slightly off topic here.
Listen, we're just trying to break the sad tension here.
Yes, of Paul's imminent demise.
Am I reading this?
Yes.
Right, so so Billy says, I'll talk to the MND nurse. And on Friday, he's still talking about this. He's really fixated on it. Yeah. And he asks Asher, and he's a bit like, okay, that's weird.
You're a medic now.
You know everything about medicine. And anyone who's done anything to do with medicine knows that this is what happens to you. Everyone is always saying to you, what's wrong with it? What, this doesn't bend properly. What's this lump? And so on. And now it's, what can I do with my corneas? And so she says, I'll ask. But then she tells Summer in the precinct, I didn't want to say anything. I don't think he can, because he's got a neurological condition.
I hope that everything that Asha is saying in this episode is true, because I've not done any research of this myself.
I did Google it, and it does depend. There are various answers, because obviously different countries have different procedures, and it depends on when you die and how progressed you are with the disease. But in this case, we're just gonna have to go with what they said, which is no. And so Paul tries talking to Bernie about it later. She's like, I'm not listening. She turns the blender on, and he has to even shout.
That was
This was
rude,
really
actually.
sad. He's like trying to shout for her, and he can't speak properly.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm blending this green soup that was already blended. I'm not listening to you. And so she
pops back later, and
she comes back in. Asha tells him that you can't do that, but you can donate your body. You can donate to M&D research, and instead of helping one person, you could help thousands of people. And Bernie is like, but Bernie comes in and he's like, I'm not talking to you, I'm still mad at you. And she says to Asha and Summer to go out so I can talk. And she says to him, I can't cope with this. It's really hard for me to listen to you talking about planning for when you're gone. I just want to think about you now and enjoy the time we have together. And he says to her, I've been thinking about what's happened. I've been thinking. And then he tells her that he had this plan on Friday last episode.
Oh yeah, she
didn't know this, and she's like kind of shocked, because she had no idea that when she said goodbye to him on Friday, that could have been the last time that she ever saw him. But she now also knows something that she didn't know, which is that he's changed his mind, and he doesn't want to take himself out. He wants to see what God wants. So he says, let's poison the fish and just get rid of this medicine down the sink.
Down the drain.
Joel would have been mad, because he could have used that.
Yeah.
Probably for something. And she's really proud of him, and she washes the pills down the sink, and it's kind of symbolic, isn't it, of letting everything go for the time being.
That was quite a nice moment.
I did really like the fact that somebody was saying, this is freaky, I don't like talking about this, because I think we're all really pressured in a good way to donate organs and do the right thing, and sometimes it can be really hard to say, I'm going to do it, but I'm also not completely cool with this. It's kind of
it's only been relatively recently that we've been automatically opted into
in
it.
this country.
So it has been a little bit of a taboo.
Well, it's when you get your driver's license. So not everybody is. You have to have a driver's license,
right. And
when you do, they say we're gonna take all your guts out. Is that all right? And you can say yes or no.
Yeah, it's a bit like and if you say actually no, they'll probably just say won't
save you then.
Yeah, fine.
Won't save you in a car crash. That's the rumour. Look, I'm going to say that's a conspiracy and a rumour. I just want to point out to anybody who think that could possibly be true, that the paramedics don't even have time to look on your phone for your emergency contact, let alone going through your wallet to see whether you're donating your organs and make sure that they don't smash your heart up on the way to the hospital.
I'm definitely on the side of I don't really like to think about it.
Yeah, don't make me involved in the decision. That's what I always say. Don't ask me. Just do it. Don't
Some
ask
people
me.
Are absolutely like, oh yeah, that's fine. Whatever. I don't need it anymore.
I'd love to. I'd want to help people. I don't care, because I'll be dead.
I'm sorry if it makes me sound like a really, really bad person, but I assume that I'm opted in now. But I just don't really want to think about it, because
I think that's normal.
It does make me a bit squeamish.
I think it's normal. I think a lot of people. I don't like how pressured people are to be okay with it.
I think sometimes people who are very absolutely fine with it, and I'm not saying this is everybody, but they can be a bit virtue signally and look down on people that aren't completely 100% for it.
It did go when Ash was like, well, you would take an organ if you needed it, so why wouldn't you give one? Because I have to be dead for that bit. I don't want that bit to happen, Asha.
I thought you were going to say I have to be dead for that, bitch.
Yeah, Asha. We'll give it up, but we're not happy about it. That's all we're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be looking down in from heaven going, oh, great. I'll be like, God damn it. I was using that 5 minutes ago.
So I'm thinking that maybe this story's going to go a bit of a break. If we're not expecting to be saying goodbye to Paul for another 4 or 5 weeks, I think now we might have a bit of a pause and then it's going to be ramping up to the final goodbye, where I'm imagining that we might be seeing one of those do-goodery sorts of stories, like how when Jack Duckworth knew he was on his way out, he was giving money to people here and there. I think Paul's new final wish is that he says, I want to save people, I want to help people, doesn't he? So I think
you've always been criticising him for being such a do-gooder.
I know, I was a year and a half ago, but I think that feels like, and maybe it's a bit of an easy, obvious way to do it, but to have him do a few nice last final acts before he finally croaks would be a suitable ending.
Well, he has to croak
Paul.
first.
I know.
Listen, if you find...
But he might do other nice things.
Finding purpose in doing this is one of the most wonderful things. If this is how you feel, if this is really going to make Paul feel at peace with his decision and moving on to another world, if this is what makes him happy, then I think that is one of the most beautiful things. I'm a selfish cow, so I'm not the same.
I'm glad Bernie kind of made a comment when she had the pills, like, I could make some money out of this down the market, and I was thinking, don't do that. We do not need another story, another stolen laptop story. Let's just make this about Paul now. There's only a few weeks left.
Maybe, we assume.
Surely. It looks like the writing is definitely on the wall here. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it concludes, as horrible as it will be. And it goes without saying, but still, I feel like I need to say this every week, but bloody hell, isn't Peter Rash amazing in this? Just
definitely.
So good. And I'm really loving how they're kind of mixing between him getting a few words out where he can here and there when it's needs to punctuate it.
When she was blending stuff.
And sometimes they're using his eye gaze thing in sentences that he uses. And he's still got those stock phrases, which we saw him record, 8 odd months ago, because he's saying mint every now and then, isn't he? Which I think we saw him recording that. I remember him sitting around with his little machine and do one, and we're hearing these phrases come, which is brilliant. And I did enjoy Billy. I can't remember what the context was, but Billy does a bit of a Paul impression earlier on in the week, doesn't he? It was like, all right, kid.
Yeah, that was really mean. That was the sort of thing we do and get in trouble for it.
But that just proves that if the Archdeacon can do it, nobody can criticise us for it.
We got a seal of approval.
We do it with a good heart, just like Billy does. Yeah. So, final few stories then, and it looks like. And I'm really mad about this because how long has it been since Alina was in it? Has it been 2 years or 3 years? I can't remember.
Long enough to have a child that
long
can
enough
speak
to definitely have. Daddy Tyrone.
Dada, miss you.
I think that we could be mere days or weeks away from meeting the spawn of Tyrone.
Oh, do you reckon what baby would the child be the same age as? How old is Alfie?
Alfie's
similar age?
He's 2, isn't he?
Similar age then?
Yeah.
And we've also got the child that shouldn't have existed, Maeve. A year and a half, 2?
Yeah. I think he's going to... I can't remember.
I think they should band together and make a new, They don't have children's television anymore, though, do they?
Not really. Just stick him in front of YouTube, doesn't it? Put him in front of Bluey.
It would just be a cute, trio for...
No, as much as I'm never particularly excited about the prospect of another baby on the street, it has been a little while since we've had one. I mean, we've obviously got one with Lauren's kids today as well. But yeah, it looks like Alina is definitely on the horizon, and that's going to blow up spectacularly in the coming weeks, and I cannot wait. I'm looking forward to Evelyn finding out about it. I'm looking forward to Cassie finding that she's got another grandchild.
Well, hang on a minute. We are jumping to conclusions here.
But I
just want to be clear, because this is not a spoiler, we don't know. This is just a guess that Alina is coming back and she's gonna have a baby. That's just a guess. It can't not be true though.
It can't not be. This was the most, teased comeback. Literally, she was sitting in the airport lounge, patting her belly, and even this is why I think there was at least 1 year, maybe 2 years, this is why I can't remember how long ago it happened, that we in our beginning of the year prediction said, and I bet that Alina's going to turn up. Like, we thought she was going to turn up at Fizz and Phil's wedding. And then this year we didn't predict that Alina was going to come back. And I think this is the first year that we didn't predict a comeback for Alina, and just typical. It's the one that it happened. But basically, the story goes, because we can very quickly summarise this, that there's this guy who's been charged with human trafficking involving nail salons and car washes, and his trial is going to be coming up soon. And Debbie comes bustling into the cafe with a gazette, shoves it in Fizz's face and says, well, this is clearly Alina, because it says they've got links to Romania and maybe she's going to be called for evidence. And
typical. Just because you know someone from Romania doesn't mean they know everyone who lives in Romania.
They don't know all the trafficked people in Romania.
Just because I was human trafficked doesn't mean I know all the human traffickers. Okay, I do know that guy, yes. Okay.
Rita says, Alina, she was a fiery one. She'd have the guts to stand and give evidence against this bloke on trial. I want to see if we're going to see, what was her name? Rachel? She was the nail salon lady, wasn't she? Whether she's going to turn up again as well, I don't know. But basically, I think by the end of the week, Fizz makes crispy pancakes and smiley faces and beans, which sounds all right to me, except I'd rather have peas. Well, I gotta go.
I want the beef ones.
Now, see, I always had the cheese crispy pancakes.
What's in that? Just cheese.
Just cheese. I don't think we ever had the beef crispy pancakes when I was little. That was like classic 90s, 80s grub, wasn't it? Like,
we never
crispy
had that.
Pancakes, Bernard Matthews Golden Drummers, mini Kievs. That's the trifecta
I don't think we had that.
My childhood easy in the oven scran. And I thought it was a wonderful reference. You had your Marvel references in Deadpool and Wolverine. I had my reference to Finder's crispy pancakes.
We only ever started eating them when we went to university, and we lived up the road from an Iceland, and always used to buy.
We did eat them at university as well, didn't we?
We used to buy fill your freezer, 5 items for £5, and I used to buy like those hideous Bernard Matthew turkey joints and Finder's crispy pancakes.
I mean, we haven't had crispy pancakes in 20 years.
Probably.
I think I know what I'm going to ask you to get in the shopping next week.
I definitely made you one, not like within the last decade.
Did you?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm not putting the oven on.
Basically, as the week goes on, Fizz is hiding it from Tyrone that Alina could be back.
That'll go off if you keep doing that.
Because she doesn't want him to know that his old mistress is potentially going to be just around the corner.
Well, neither of them have got any idea that she might have popped off before she turns up.
What do you mean popped off?
Well, they don't know that there's a possibility that she's got a kid. Neither of them didn't know this. There's no suspicion. It's not like...
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that she's there and you know, they've only just been able to scrape their life together after the whole Phil fiasco, and she doesn't want Alina coming in and maybe leading Tyrone astray again with her sexy outfits and exploding cars. But anyway, she tries to tell him at one point when she's making these crispy pancakes, but he'd just rather go and have a power nap as well, even though the dinner's only going to be 20 minutes
power nap. That is a proper power nap, though.
Yeah.
I'd just be grumpy.
Totally.
But then you'd have a crispy pancake to
Maybe
eat.
That's what Kev's been. He's been having 20-minute power
napping his way through life.
Yeah, and just turn him into a massive crank. Anyway, Hope realises after a conversation with Kirk and Maria, and also Hope nagging on, that maybe she should get a holiday for the Dobbs. And I don't know whether I was only kind of half listening to this because this was like a D-tier story. I quite enjoyed it because I love all the characters, but I wasn't supposed to be paying too much attention. Is Fizz trying to arrange a story? A holiday. Is she trying to arrange herself a story for herself? Because she's been back off her maternity leave for like 5 months now. We haven't seen hiding the hair of her. Is her idea to get them away on holiday whilst Alina is on trial?
Oh, maybe.
So that... is that supposed to be obvious?
I think she did say that, actually. I'm dredging something from my memory here.
Yeah. So she decides that she's going to go on holiday.
To Barmouth, not Bournemouth.
Yeah, Barmouth, which is... Where do you say? South Wales?
Yeah, no, North Wales.
North Wales. Tyrone's not exactly doing cartwheels over those. Yeah, she says we haven't got time. There's too much going on lately. What with everything going on with the garage and Jack and everything. This is the bit where they talk about Jack being a little arsonist and Hope's there listening in at the door, giving this smile about hubba another arsonist on the street, because she was earlier on in the week What?
Go on.
She was saying earlier on in the week how she's getting a bit bored of Sam, and that broke my little heart because I think that Hope and Sam should be a couple for the ages, but it feels to me like she's about to dump him for exciting Jack.
See, to me, I obviously don't have the romantic heart that you do, because I was thinking, Hope's thinking, great, I can pin something on him. Set fire to something and say Jack did it.
Yes. No, because she'd been bizarrely hanging around Jack, hadn't she, the last couple of weeks, when I don't think she'd had anything to do with him.
That's true.
And the fact that they got this line in about, Sam's, he's always buried himself into a book. I mean, it's true that they are a bit chalk and cheese, that relationship, but I feel that if Hope and Sam break up now, they haven't squeezed enough potential out of that relationship, because the few scenes that we've seen of them together, particularly that first date, were absolute gold. And I just think that I don't see what Hope would see in Jack. Really, other than the fact that he also likes setting fires. Sam's more interesting than character. That was all, really. And we also had that lovely scene at the end of Wednesday's, or was it Monday's episode? I can't remember, where Rita and Audrey are talking about holidays. Talking of holidays, they have that little reminisce, don't they? Which is, I'm kind of hoping is going to be something, but it clearly isn't. They had a little unnecessary scene, cut for Canada, where Rita and Audrey were... reflecting back, because Audrey didn't go on the holiday, did they? To
the famous holiday, was it Tenerife? No,
it wasn't. It was somewhere in.
It's a very famous picture
very
of them
famous, but I can't remember where it was.
In character, by the pool in their bikinis.
Yeah, so
Rita's there, Deirdre's there.
It was just an opportunity for a name drop, and sometimes that's all you need to keep an old Coronation Street fan happy. So they mentioned Mavis and Hilda and Emily and Annie Walker.
Episodes.
That was a great little episode, was. And Rita and Audrey kind of end the scene saying, should we do it again? There's one more chance for us to get away from it all. And I was like, I would...
Go, girls.
I would love it, but it's not going to happen, is it?
Corrie
are not going to cough up the location budget to send the Wrinklies over to
Michael.
Timbuktu for a little special episode. It's not.
I would love them to do that, though.
And the last thing I want is them posing in their bikinis in front of the volume wall as well.
For goodness sake.
What?
Okay,
I'm just saying,
right.
I would love nothing more than to get Rita and Audrey and Ken and who else would go along with them. Evelyn on a holiday. That would be brilliant.
New plan, everybody. We're doing a GoFundMe to sponsor a location trip, because then we can go as well.
Yeah. It's been...
Where do you think they should go?
It's been so long. It's been about 15 years since Corrie's filmed abroad. And back in the, late... It was that trip that Steve and Eileen's went across to...
The transphobic one.
The transphobic holiday. Torremolinos, was that? I can't remember.
I thought that was a pudding.
They haven't been abroad since, and it used to be in there was a stint in the late 90s, early 2000s. They were bobbing off to France just a drop of a hat, doing their DVD specials to Africa and Romania.
They could go back in time and take that money and put it in a nicer, sensibly.
Yeah,
because they'd be drawing income from that now.
Yeah,
they've done that.
Finally, we had the Institute story, which was do you want to just give us a quick summary of what happened here?
Amy's going on retreat, isn't she?
Yeah, she's going on holiday.
She's used Deirdre's money.
I don't know whether she...
she insinuated that she was going to, right?
Yeah.
She's really excited about this. And Rowan's saying, you're destined for incredible things. And Nick comes in and Rowan's like, right, I want to word with you. So they go into the office and Rowan says, you owe me 20 grand. You better give it to me. Otherwise I'm going to press charges for you bopping me in the nose. This face is worth 20 grand minimum. So later on, Rowan tells Leanne, when he gets back from the retreat, got to have a word with you. I'm not going to tell you now.
Rowan's got quite a good deal going on here, hasn't he? He's going on these retreats, going and sunning himself in I don't know where they actually go, but I kind of imagine some picturesque location somewhere.
I think it's like these teachers that work in forest schools, where all they do is look at sticks all day long.
I think it's just like all teachers that just have these holidays left, right and centre all over
I'm going
the place.
on a retreat away from the children.
I'm on a retreat at the moment, apparently.
Right. Nick notices Leanne's looking stressed because she's, what's he want to talk to me about?
Is she going to be upgraded to level 8?
She says, Rowan wants to talk to me, and Nick's obviously like, oh my God, it's going to be about he's trying to blackmail me again. And they start bickering about the Institute and Rowan, and she says, I want to invest more money in this resource centre. And
he promises her that he's on board because she's
like, oh,
trying
that's
to
good. How helpful.
Not rock the boat here.
And that's the end of it, really.
Yeah, that was basically it, wasn't it?
What's this? What do you imagine at a retreat? Do you think the retreat is the actual cabin with all the briefcases in it with all the things you've done wrong?
I don't know. So when Leanne went on her retreat before, we were really excited about the fact that she might come back talking like a robot.
Yeah,
but
I love
didn't.
Rowan. She
came back
to be happy.
She came back to Simon leaving, and then she was kind of
Mardy.
ripped back into reality.
Yeah.
I still don't think that Amy really seems to be the sort of person that would be taken in by this, but I don't know.
Look, you can't say that about a cult.
I guess she's just
anyone.
She's going to be fairly.
You could be in a cult now and not even know.
Convinced when she gets back. Anyway, that was.
Do you do Zumba? Because that's a cult. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
That was it for this week's Coronation Street. And even though I found it somewhat on the dull side, I think we managed to get a fairly nice chat out of it this afternoon.
Because we're doing it early.
Yeah. I can't score it highly though. There wasn't anything that really got me hooked and eager to find out what happened next, and it kind of felt like it was plodding along a bit for me.
This was a solid week. I give this week 3 one-woman hidden camera shows.
3, yeah.
It was fine. There were some good bits. I do think it's a shame that it was a 3 when some kind of really big things happened, but in Corrie, something big happens every week.
I think the big things happening just kind of rescues it for me as well. This could have very easily been a 2.5.
I don't know.
Maybe I will give it a 2.5. Maybe I will. Because I just seem to, I don't think have a huge range in my scores. I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it 2.5 B&Bs in the sky out of 5, which is apparently where Paul's going to be checking into once he's over. Character of the week this week. Gosh, I do not know.
This is hard.
It was hard because it was a week of characters that I'm not mega invested in.
It's always really difficult to pick a main character in a week where the main story didn't do it for you. So the main story this week was the Stefan Brent being burned alive, but not quite.
Yeah, I mean...
And nobody really filled themselves with glory on that one.
No, Abby didn't because she was lying to the police. Kevin certainly didn't because he was asked to Abby. Joel was obviously clearly a bit of a wrong un this week.
I can't give
Lauren was Mardy Mare, so was Beth, so was Betsy, so was Carla.
What about the baby?
I'm not going to give it to the baby.
The baby gets it for me. Yeah.
I might, considering that she missed out on it last week and she was still pretty good this week, I think that I might give old Debbie Webster my character of the week this week because I do love her. She was fantastic last week.
Everything she does, I'm just like...
She was ace this week as well. I think that she's got her head screwed on where Kevin's just being an arse to everybody. Abby is trying her best but sometimes doing the wrong thing. I think Debbie is there as a bit of a linchpin in the family to keep them all in the straight and narrow.
It was
the
their
lovely
dad.
Auntie Debbie, and she was a responsible adult. What more do you need?
Their dad did this to them. What's his name?
Bill?
Bill did this by making Debbie, when they were children, when the mum went, Debbie had to do everything.
And she died, yeah.
When she died, I couldn't remember what happened. When the mum died, it was down to Debbie to wash the pants and peel the potatoes. And that's why Kevin never learned. And that's why Debbie is so responsible and
it's
got her
moulded
head
her
screwed on.
into the woman that she is
Exactly.
today.
That's why I say to everybody who has got children, you must make sure that at least one of the parents is killed at a very young age to teach the children some kind of responsibility. And who knows, if both of you are dead, your kid could be Harry Potter.
Well, they're putting that into practice in Corrie right now, aren't they? They're killing off all the mums.
All the mums
if Alina comes back to, the next couple of weeks, she better be looking over her shoulder because she could be dead by this time in a month if she goes down the way of all the others.
Alina really needs to watch her back.
She does. She's coming back, presumably with Tyrone's child.
Young, beautiful, mother, Coronation Street, those things do not go together.
And if she's going to be testifying in court against these Romanian wrong-uns, then she's going to have some people coming after her, leaving Tyrone with the child. It's like, it writes itself.
Imagine imagine if that picture she made was a macabre prediction of her fiery demise. Car exploding and killing beautiful young mother Alina Pop.
Literally, we are assuming, because it seems like very, very obvious that she's going to be back in the next week or two with a baby. Do you think that Tyrone's gonna want anything to do with it? Is it gonna cause ruptions?
Well, he's too nice. I think he'd be like, "Oh, I've got to raise it."
I think he is. I think he's gonna feel the weight of responsibility. And also,
Fizz is too nice too. Fizz would be like, "Oh, Tyrone."
Yeah, actually, you are absolutely right. Fizz to me doesn't seem like the sort of person that's going to be Tyrone. If you dare have anything to do with that child, that's me and you over.
Fault.
No, and I think maybe, Ruby thinking that she would have another little sister or brother.
Hope would set fire to it.
I'm hoping for a brother.
Hope setting fire to it.
Yeah, so Hope doesn't need any other kids.
And she's going to say Jack did it.
Well, she nearly tried.
That's my prediction.
She did try to
kill the other one.
To Alina before.
Yeah.
And is she semi-responsible for Alina's miscarriage before? I don't know.
Well,
so I think that Fizz might kind of say, well, I suppose she'd better stay with us then. I can kind of see that kind of scenario playing out.
Oh my god! I listen. Did Evelyn and Alina cross paths? Obviously.
Yeah.
Just imagine them two being mum of the house, because if Alina's got her baby, she's going to be in maternal mode, and then Evelyn's going to be like, "Oh, you're doing it wrong, and
we
then
say
Alina's...
baby, but again, we don't really understand.
Well, it'll be a kid.
It'd be a young toddler at this point.
And Alina's going to be like, "We want to spoil the sausages like I have at home," and she'll be like, "Oh, I'm not having boiled sausages."
There's your Alina voice.
But then she'll make bangers and mash with gravy, which is basically the same thing, just slightly browner.
Maybe they will bring in Alina's grandma as an actual character.
I've come to help Alina.
There we are. A little sneak preview for next week or whenever it is that she's going to be popping back.
I've got to help her because I've seen your children you've raised here, and I don't think you're very good at it.
Okay, I think we are done.
Right, no, hang on.
Today.
Your character of the week is?
Debbie.
Okay.
Oh, you didn't? Did you say yours?
Baby Bolton.
Baby Bolton, seriously. We didn't even see them.
It's a boy.
Just for being a survivor.
I guess we don't know the pronouns, but it's definitely a boy that's been assigned boy.
Yes.
At birth.
You can't give Baby Bolton.
I am giving it Baby Bolton.
Oh my gosh, fine, whatever.
I love Baby Bolton.
I know that I can't convince you otherwise about anything that you set your mind on, so we're done.